family farm, the true tree of the immortal dragon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201, Recruited. Father, the aura fluctuation of this spirit fruit is stronger than the third order heavenly spirit fruit. Is it the fourth order spiritual fruit? Ye Changsheng said even more excitedly. Yes, this is indeed a fourth order spiritual fruit, and it is an extremely precious type of fourth order spiritual fruit, called immortal root fruit. After taking it, within 10 years, coupled with the effect of the half spirit fruit, you will gain a cultivation speed that is half as fast as the Xianling root. By then, you will be at the foundation level, and you will be able to advance to one level every year, which will be no worse than the Holy Spirit root. The effect of this medicine will last until the 4th level, so when you advance to the Zifu stage, you will still practice quickly. When Ye Changsheng heard this, he excitedly bowed deeply to Ye Changsheng. Thank you, Father, for giving me such a precious spiritual fruit. I will definitely live up to my father's expectations. No need to be polite. Ye Changsheng waved his hand point after speaking. Ye Changsheng took out a jade box and a jade talisman. Here are 6 3 soul fruits, which are 3rd level soul fruits. Here are the jade talismans that open the 9 revolutions of reincarnation arraying King Hu Peak. In order to avoid the problem that your cultivation grows too fast during the foundation building period and your soul power cannot keep up, you need to go to the 9-turn reincarnation array on time to exercise your soul, and you can take a 3 soul fruit after each exercise. Ye Changsheng said slowly. I know, Kit. Ye Changsheng nodded heavily. 3 days later, Ye Changsheng met Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao alone in Changsheng Garden. Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao saluted Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng waved his hand and told them to get up. Cultivation is not easy. It requires a lot of cultivation resources. Otherwise, you can only rely on meditation and hard training. Now that our family's conditions do not require you to do this, I have decided to increase your monthly quota. Your mother Luwan's monthly quota is 5,000 spiritual stones, and I have decided to increase it to 10,000 spiritual stones for each of you. Zhao Liao was overjoyed when she heard this. She was the first Zifu seed to be cultivated in the Zhao family, and was favored by thousands of people. However, her monthly income was only 3,000 spirit stones. She did not expect that she could get so many monthly income from the Ye family. Then Ye Changsheng continued, take this storage bag. These are the 12 second level flying beasts that I recently spent a huge sum of money to purchase. These flying beasts are exactly the same as those in the family. With these 12 flying beasts of burden, it will be easy for you to find the elders of your family who are responsible for the flight route business and ask them to help you allocate new routes and manpower. With these flying beasts of burden, you and your wife can earn a base of 2.5 million spiritual stones per year. Thank you, Father, for such a generous gift. Ye Changsheng and Zhao Liao bowed excitedly again. No need to be polite, Changsheng. This is the family property I have allocated to your lineage. This is not only the resources you and your wife need for your cultivation. You still have to work hard to expand the number of heirs so that you can become independent and become the ancestor of a great clan. Ye Changsheng said seriously. Yes, Father, the child will definitely work hard to reproduce. Ye Changsheng said confidently. Ye Changsheng nodded slowly. The next day Ye Changsheng came to the hibiscus forest in the back mountain again. Ye Changsheng came to the hibiscus forest in the back mountain, and there was a faint burning smell in the air. In the distance, a group of 3-legged fire crows were playing in the forest and chirping happily. Master, Patriarch, you are here. A tribesman responsible for taking care of the fire crows saluted respectfully. As we reported before, 4 second level high grade 3-legged fire crows have recently shown signs of advancement. Ye Changsheng nodded, glanced across the fire crows, and quickly locked onto the 4 fire crows whose auras were obviously different. Their feathers glowed with a faint purple light, and they were obviously on the verge of a breakthrough point. After this clan member left, Ye Changsheng began to walk into the fire crow group. Okay, I'm here to help them, Ye Changsheng said, taking out 4 Zifu fruits from the storage bag. The 4 fire crows seemed to sense something, and immediately flew to Ye Changsheng's side, staring longingly at the Zifu fruit in his hand. Ye Changsheng smiled and handed the fruit to them, and the fire crows couldn't wait to swallow it. Afterwards, Ye Changsheng sat cross-legged, and began to protect the fire crows. I saw a faint purple halo glowing around the 4 fire crows, and their sizes were slowly increasing. After half a day, the light dissipated. 3 of the 4 fire crows have successfully broken through to the 3rd level of low grade. Their bodies have grown substantially, and their feathers have become more colorful. Although the remaining one failed to break through, it was already dead. Ye Changsheng happily stroked the 3 newly promoted 3rd level fire crows, thinking in his mind, now I have 9 low level 3rd level 3-legged fire crows, plus the other 2nd level ones. This army of fire crows, the strength is already quite impressive. Just when Ye Changsheng was immersed in joy, he suddenly felt a powerful aura coming. He looked up suddenly and saw a black shadow falling from the sky and landing not far away. The person who came was dressed in black robes, had a stern face, and his eyes were as sharp as an eagle. He was tall, and standing there gave people a sense of oppression without anger or authority. The most eye-catching thing is the scar on his forehead, which is like a bolt of lightning, adding a bit of fierceness to him. Ye Chang could tell at a glance that this visitor was a 4th level ancestor of the Z Mansion. He quickly stood up and saluted respectfully. I'm Ye Changsheng. I didn't know that my senior was here, so I missed the welcome from afar. Please forgive me. The black-robed old man nodded lightly and said, I'm Xiao Han, the elder of the Great Plains Cultivation Alliance. I have been ordered to recruit monks to support the anti-demon front line. Ye Changsheng was shocked when he heard this. He did not expect that the day when Immortal Cultivation Alliance would send such a high-level elder to recruit in person. He quickly said, it turns out to be Senior Xiao. What are your orders, Xiao? Han glanced at the fire crows and praised, yes, your fire crow army is quite large, especially those 3rd level fire crows, which are even more rare. It seems that you are very good at taming spiritual beasts. Ye Changsheng said modestly, Senior, I got the award, but it was just a fluke, Xiao. Han waved his hand and went straight to the topic. Now that the demon clan is invading in large numbers, our Great Plains immortal cultivation world is in danger. The Alliance has decided to recruit the elite forces of the major sects and families to go to the anti-demon front line. Your Fire Crow Legion has great combat power, and it is precisely what we need. Ye Changsheng felt a chill in his heart, knowing that this was a task he could not refuse. He said respectfully, this junior is willing to contribute to the fight against the demon clan, but I have already signed a treaty with the Liu family of the Z Mansion who governs us. They have recruited a powerful 2nd tier high-grade battleship to replace us. The Yi family has served and promised not to be drafted again. I wonder if seniors. After listening to Ye Changsheng's words, Xiao Han showed a sneer on his face. You don't have to say anything. I already know what the Liu family of the Z Mansion has done. They violated the Alliance regulations and forcibly expropriated the resources of their subordinate families. This matter has been severely punished. Chapter 202 Zuan Huan Fruit. Ye Changsheng was stunned when he heard this. He didn't expect Xiao Han to know so much about this matter. I saw Xiao Han continue to say, the head of the Liu family has been fined to serve in the 5th level Golden Light Fortress for 50 years, and was fined 20 million spiritual stones, which can be used to offset your warship. With that said, Xiao Han took out a storage bag and handed it to Ye Changsheng. There are 20 million spirit stones in it. Please keep it. Ye Changsheng quickly took it, feeling pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect this matter to be resolved so satisfactorily. However, Xiao Han's next words instantly cooled down Ye Changsheng's joy. But Ye Changsheng, you have advanced to the Zifu stage, and your Yi family now has 5 Zifu monks, plus 10 Zifu combat forces. The monster is still there, but it can no longer be countered. Ye Changsheng's heart sank, knowing that there might not be any good news next point. Sure enough, Zhao Han continued, the alliance has decided to recruit you and your 9 three-legged fire crows for a period of 20 years. During this period, other combat forces of your Ye family will not be recruited. Ye Changsheng was shocked when he heard this. Senior, this, Zhao Han raised his hand and interrupted him. This is an order and must not be violated. You will be given 1 month to arrange funeral arrangements. You must leave after 1 month and report to the Golden Light Fortress within half a year. After saying that, Zhao Han's figure disappeared from the sky. Ye Changsheng stood there blankly, unable to recover for a long time. He didn't expect things to develop to this point. Although the Liu family's affairs were resolved, he had to leave the family for 20 years. Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and calmed down. Since you can't disobey orders, you have to hurry up and get ready. He decided to go to the Heavenly Palace to buy some spiritual fruits to improve his cultivation and prepare for the upcoming battle. Ye Changsheng sat on the altar of the Heavenly Palace and came to the penultimate floor of the Heavenly Palace, to the Xianling Pavilion, which specialized in selling 3rd level spiritual objects. He asked the shopkeeper, is there any 3rd level spiritual fruit that is very effective in increasing cultivation during the Zifu period and is not too rare? The shopkeeper thought for a moment and recommended, Your Majesty, you may consider the spiritual palace fruit. This kind of spiritual fruit grows in a valley with rich spiritual energy and needs to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth for hundreds of years to mature. The precious thing about it is that it can directly nourish the monk's purple mansion and enhance the capacity and quality of the purple mansion. After taking it, the monk's cultivation level will be significantly improved, especially for the monks in the early and middle stages of Zifu. Ye Changsheng nodded, very satisfied with this recommendation. Then give me a spirit palace fruit. Okay, this spirit palace fruit sells for 3000 high-grade spirit stones. The shopkeeper carefully took out a crystal clear fruit and handed it to Ye Changsheng. After paying the spirit stones, Ye Changsheng came to the 3rd floor from the bottom of the Heavenly Palace. He came to the shop where he last sold immortal root fruit. This place specializes in selling 4th level spiritual items, and the prices are even more expensive. He once again asked the shopkeeper what common spiritual fruits were suitable for improving the cultivation of 4th level monks. The shopkeeper thought for a while and recommended, my guest may consider the 4th grade high grade Zhuanhuang fruit. The Zhuanhuang fruit grows in a place where the extremely rare Zhuanhuang energy gathers, and it takes 1,000 years to produce one. It contains rich original power of heaven and earth, which can help monks better understand the avenue of heaven and earth. After taking it, it can not only improve the cultivation level, but also enhance the monk's understanding of the Tao. It is especially effective for the monks in the later stage of the Taoist court, and it helps to prepare for the attack on Yashu. Ye Changsheng's eyes lit up. Okay, then give me a 4th grade high grade Zhuanhuang fruit. This 4th grade high grade black yellow fruit sells for 200,000 high grade spiritual stones. The shopkeeper carefully took out a golden fruit and handed it to Ye Changsheng. After paying the spirit stone, Ye Changsheng left the Heavenly Palace and returned to the real world. With a thought in his mind, he entered the fairy tree space. Ye Changsheng began to count his resources. After accumulating during this period, he already has 4 drops of 4th level fairy dew and 50 drops of 3rd level fairy dew. These fairy dews are the key to the birth of spiritual fruit trees. First, Ye Changsheng planted the newly purchased spirit palace fruit seeds, and then added a drop of 3rd level fairy dew. Under the magical effect of the fairy dew, the Lingang fruit trees grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than a moment, a lush Lingang fruit tree grew. The tree was covered with crystal clear fruits, a total of 24. Ye Changsheng happily picked these fruits, then took out the cores of 19 of them, and planted them again. Soon, 19 more Lingang fruit trees grew. In this way, Ye Changsheng obtained a total of 481 spirit palace fruits. He carefully put away these spiritual palace fruits, thinking to himself, these spiritual fruits will be an important resource for me to exchange supplies on the front line. Then, Ye Changsheng took out another drop of 4th level fairy dew and began to give birth to black and yellow fruit trees. The same process was repeated. and soon a black and yellow fruit tree grew up with 12 golden fruits on it. These black and yellow fruits are of higher value and should be able to be exchanged for a lot of precious resources by then. Ye Changsheng was thinking in his mind. Finally, Ye Changsheng gave birth to 2 more fairy root fruit trees, each of which also produced 12 fruits. Looking at the rich harvest in front of him, Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction. These fairy root fruits are what he plans to sell in the heavenly palace in exchange for spiritual stones. He doesn't have many high-grade spiritual stones in his hand. Ye Changsheng sat on the Xiangang altar again and arrived at the third to last floor of the Xiangang. He found the shop that sold the fairy root fruit before, and the shop owner's eyes lit up when he saw him. This Taoist friend is here again. I wonder how many fairy root fruits you brought this time, the shop owner asked enthusiastically. Ye Changsheng smiled and took out 24 crystal clear fairy root fruits and put them on the counter. I brought 24 this time. How about 400,000 high quality spirit stones each according to the previous price? The shop owner carefully checked it and nodded repeatedly. Good. This batch of fairy root fruits is of excellent quality, and 400,000 each is definitely worth the money. Soon, the transaction was completed. Ye Changsheng harvested 9.6 million high quality spirit stones and was secretly happy. With this amount of spirit stones, there is no need to worry about the next purchase. Ye Changsheng turned and came to the second to last floor of the heavenly palace and stepped into the Wanbao building again. This Taoist friend, are you here to buy magic weapons again? The shopkeeper greeted him with a smile. Ye Changsheng nodded. Yes, this time I want to buy 2 third-level low-grade flying swords first. A wise choice, the shopkeeper praised. On the battlefield, flying swords are indeed one of the most consumed magic weapons. After some selection, Ye Changsheng chose 2 extremely sharp third-level low-grade flying swords, spending 9,000 high-grade spirit stones. Shopkeeper, I also want to buy a third-level magic weapon for escape. Do you have any recommendations? Ye Changsheng asked again. The shopkeeper thought for a moment and recommended several common escape magic weapons such as flying swords, flying boats, chasing shuttles and magic wings. But Ye Changsheng was not very satisfied with the results. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203 Wind Wings. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng said bluntly, Shopkeeper, I have plenty of spiritual stones on hand. Is there any better choice? The shopkeeper's eyes lit up, and he nodded knowingly. Since fellow Taoists said so, I have a treasure that I can recommend. With that said, he turned around and entered the inner room, and soon he took out a simple treasure box. This is a third-level ancient treasure, named U-0,027 Ufengai U-0,027. The shopkeeper carefully opened the treasure box, revealing a pair of crystal clear wings. It not only has 3 levels of extreme speed, but the most important thing is that there is a special space at the root of the wings, which can store a large number of spiritual stones for burning. This function, it's hard to see it in today's magic weapons. Its maximum speed can reach 12 times the speed of the early Zifu monks. Even ordinary Taoist ancestors can't catch up. After hearing the introduction, Ye Changsheng's eyes flashed with surprise. What a treasure! How much is the price? After some haggling, the deal was finally settled for 300,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Shopkeeper, I also need a defensive magic weapon, preferably an ancient one. Ye Changsheng said again. The shopkeeper nodded and quickly fetched another ancient defensive treasure. This is a semi-elliptical shield. The whole body is bronze, with complex runes engraved on it. This ancient treasure is called U-0,027 Zuanshan Shield U-0,027. Its biggest feature is that it can be changed in size according to the owner's needs. When fully activated, its 2 sides will grow and can completely wrap the owner, forming an all-round 3-dimensional defense. The shopkeeper introduced. What's even better is that the owner in a defensive state can use his spiritual consciousness to spy on the outside world and calmly escape from the battlefield. Its defensive capabilities are comparable to a 4th level defensive magic weapon. Ye Changsheng nodded repeatedly after hearing this. This was exactly what he needed. After discussion, the deal was concluded for 280,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Finally, I also want an offensive 3rd level ancient treasure, Ye Changsheng said. The shopkeeper seemed to be well prepared and directly took out a pitch black spear. This U-0,027 demon slaying spear U-0,027 has amazing attack power and is extremely sharp. It is also the top among all 3rd level ancient treasures. It can not only increase the user's attack power and can also absorb the essence and blood of monsters to strengthen itself. Ye Changsheng looked at the spear carefully and felt a sharp breath coming towards his face. He gently touched the gun body and felt the powerful power contained in the gun and couldn't help but nodded secretly. What? A treasure? How much is the price? Ye Changsheng asked. 5 million high-grade spiritual stones. The shopkeeper quoted a staggering price. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment and finally nodded in agreement. Deal. After coming out of Xianling Pavilion, Ye Changsheng was not in a hurry to leave Xiangan. He knew that what he had to face next was 20 years of fighting, and he must be fully prepared. He walked along the corridor on the penultimate floor of the Xiangang, his eyes scanning the shops on both sides from time to time. Suddenly, a shop called Alchemy Workshop attracted his attention. There was a plaque hanging at the door of the shop that said 3rd level spiritual gold exclusively sold, which was exactly what he needed. Ye Changsheng pushed the door open and walked in. A dazzling array of spiritual gold was displayed in the store. An old man in brocade robes came up to him and asked with a smile, "Does this fellow Taoist want to buy spiritual gold?" Ye Changsheng nodded and said, "Exactly. I need to buy some 3rd level spiritual gold for weapon refining. I wonder if your store has any recommendations." The old man stroked his beard and said, "There are many kinds of 3rd level spiritual gold, each with its own characteristics. I wonder what kind of magic weapon you plan to refine." Ye Changsheng thought for a while and replied, "I need some spiritual gold that is stable in nature and can enhance the power of the magic weapon. Then, I recommend these 20 kinds of spiritual gold to fellow Taoists. They are all the finest among the 3rd level high-grade spiritual gold." As the old man spoke, he took out a jade slip and handed it to Ye Changsheng. "Their characteristics and uses are recorded here. Fellow Taoists can take a look." Ye Changsheng took the jade slip and penetrated it with his spiritual consciousness. The jade slips contain detailed information on 20 kinds of spiritual gold. Red flame gold, fire attribute spiritual gold, suitable for refining fire magic weapons. Zuan Binyin, ice attribute spiritual gold, suitable for refining ice magic weapons. Thunder copper, thunder attribute spiritual gold, suitable for refining thunder magic weapons. Wine spirit iron, wind spiritual gold, suitable for refining wind magic weapons. Earth core gold, earth attribute spiritual gold, suitable for refining earth magic weapons. Xiangang gold, metallic spiritual gold, suitable for refining gold magic weapons. Wood spirit copper, wood spiritual gold, suitable for refining wood magic weapons. Crystal silver, water-based spiritual gold, suitable for refining water-based magic weapons. Purple lightning gold, spiritual gold with dual attributes of thunder and lightning, suitable for refining thunder and lightning magic weapons. Black gold, 5-element spiritual gold, suitable for refining 5-element magic weapons. Red flame gold, fire attributed spiritual gold, suitable for refining high temperature magic weapons. Ice silver, ice attribute spiritual gold, suitable for refining low temperature magic weapons. Thunder copper, thunder attributed spiritual gold, suitable for refining thunder magic weapons. Gale iron, wind attributed spiritual gold, suitable for refining gale magic weapons. Thick earth gold, earth attribute spiritual gold, suitable for refining heavy magic weapons. Diamond gold, metallic spiritual gold, suitable for refining hard magic weapons. Greenwood copper, wood attribute spiritual gold, suitable for refining vitality magic weapons. Spiritual mercury, water attributed spiritual gold, Suitable for refining smart magic weapons. Purple thunder gold. Thunder attributed spiritual gold. Suitable for refining purple thunder magic weapons. 5 element gold. 5 element spiritual gold. Suitable for refining comprehensive magic weapons. After Ye Changsheng carefully read this information, he couldn't help but secretly marveled. Each of these spiritual golds has its own unique features. If they can be used reasonably, they will surely be able to refine powerful magic weapons. He looked up and said to the old man, I want all these spiritual golds. Give me 20 kilograms of each, and 1 kilogram for each small piece. The old man was surprised when he heard this, and then he was overjoyed. Okay. Dao I was really a straightforward person. These spiritual golds are expensive. Are you sure you want all of them? Ye Changsheng nodded and said, sure. I wonder how many spiritual stones are needed in total. The old man quickly calculated and said, these 20 kinds of spiritual golds, 20 kilograms each, require a total of 560,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng took out a storage bag and handed it to the old man without saying a word. There are 560,000 high-grade spiritual stones in it. Please check it. The old man took the storage bag, counted it carefully, and nodded with satisfaction. The number of spiritual stones is correct. Dao, wait a moment. I will prepare spiritual gold for you. Not long after, the old man handed the packaged spiritual gold to Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng put it into his storage ring, thanked the old man, and left the alchemy shop. Next, Ye Changsheng found a shop called Dangxiang Pavilion on the second to last floor of the Heavenly Palace. This is the largest third level elixir specialty store, with a constant flow of customers and a booming business. Ye Changsheng walked into the store, and a young clerk in a green shirt came up to him. Fellow Daoist, what kind of elixir do you need? Ye Changsheng said, I would like to ask, among the third level medium quality healing elixirs, which one is more effective and more common? The clerk thought for a moment and recommended, fellow Daoist, you can consider U0027 Lingayudan U0027. Chapter 204 Divine Crystal Bomb. This elixir is made from 1000-year-old Ganoderma lucidum as the main ingredient, supplemented by century-old Polygonum multiflorum, dragon bone grass and other precious medicinal materials. After taking it, it can quickly repair internal and external injuries. It has a very good therapeutic effect on the injuries of monks in the Zifu period, and its medicinal properties are mild and will not cause any side effects to monks. Each pill sells for 1,200 high-grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng nodded and said, okay, then give me 200 pills. The clerk was a little surprised, but quickly went to prepare it. Ye Changsheng asked again, do you have any recommendations among the third level high-grade healing elixirs? The clerk replied, among the third level top grade products, I recommend U0027 Lingdan U0027. This elixir is made from rare medicinal materials such as Ganoderma lucidum, 9-leaf asparagus, Chyantian snow lotus and other rare medicinal materials. It can not only quickly heal serious injuries, it can also repair meridians and danshan. It is a rare healing medicine for monks in the Zifu period. Each pill costs 3,200 high-grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng nodded again. Okay, give me 200 pills of this too. The clerk was even more surprised, but still prepared the elixir as requested. Ye Changsheng asked again, are there any pills suitable for breaking through the bottleneck in the middle and late stages of Zifu? The clerk thought for a while and said, if you want to break through the middle stage of Zifu, you can choose U0027 Yuchan pill U0027. This elixir is made from rare medicinal materials such as millennium ginseng and 9-turn resurrection grass. It can enhance the monk's Zifu and improve his health. The breakthrough success rate is 3,000 high-grade spiritual stones. As for breaking through the later stages of Zifu, I recommend U0027 Jade Daopel U0027. This is a precious elixir refined from rare medicinal materials such as 10,000-year Ganoderma lucidum and 9-grade purple lotus seeds. It can not only strengthen Zifu, but also improve the monk's understanding. Greatly improves the success rate of breakthrough. Each pill sells for 7,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng nodded and said, okay, give me 20 pills of each of these two kinds of elixirs. The clerk was so surprised that he couldn't speak and quickly went to prepare the elixir. Not long after, all the elixirs were ready. Ye Changsheng put the elixirs into the storage ring one by one, then took out a storage bag and handed it to the clerk. There are 1.08 million high-grade spiritual stones in it, which should be enough to pay for all the elixirs. The clerk took the storage bag, carefully counted it, and said respectfully, welcome fellow Taoist to visit us next time. After walking out of Dangxiang Pavilion, Ye Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief. After Ye Changsheng left Dangxiang Pavilion, he went directly to the third to last floor of the Xiangang. There are many high-end magic weapon shops here, making it a shopping paradise that monks dream of. He soon came to a shop called Zuanshan Pavilion. Ye Changsheng pushed the door open and was greeted by a kind-faced old man. What does this fellow Taoist do for you, senior? I would like to ask if there is a 4th level magic weapon to defend against soul attacks. Ye Changsheng went straight to the point. The old man's eyes lit up and he said with a smile, Taoist friends have good eyesight. We do have some good soul defense magic weapons here. Please come with me. He took Ye Changsheng to a secret room and took out 3 magic weapons. These 3 are 4th level 1st grade, middle grade and high grade soul defense magic weapons. Fellow Taoist, please take a look. Ye Changsheng looked at the 3 magic weapons carefully. The 1st grade magic weapon is a jade pendant, the middle grade magic weapon is a hat, and the top grade magic weapon is a ring. This ring is called U0027 Mysterious Soul Ring U0027. It is the best among the 4th level high grade soul defense magic weapons. The old man introduced. It can not only withstand the soul attacks of monks of the same level, but also reflect some damage. It is even more rare. Yes, it can also enhance the strength of the wearer's consciousness. After hearing this, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but his eyes lit up. What a treasure. How much is the price? 200,000 high-grade spiritual stones. The old man quoted the price. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment, nodded and said, deal. After Ye Changsheng put away the mysterious soul ring, he asked the old man, senior, I wonder if your store has any great weapons that can severely damage or even kill those in the late 4th level in one unexpected blow. When the old man heard this, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes, and then he smiled mysteriously. Fellow Taoist really has good eyesight. We do have such a treasure, but it's expensive. Ye Changsheng smiled calmly, as long as you get value for money, price is not an issue. The old man nodded, turned around and walked towards the depths of the secret room. Taking out an exquisite jade box from a hidden compartment. He carefully opened the box, and there were 5 fist-sized crystals lying inside. This is a legendary U0027 Divine Crystal Bomb U0027. The old man introduced. Each one is condensed from the essence of heaven and earth for thousands of years, and contains amazing explosive energy. Once detonated, it is enough to severely damage or even kill a strong person in the late 4th level. Ye Changsheng looked at these divine crystal bombs carefully. They were translucent and light blue, and their surfaces were covered with complex lines. It was vaguely visible that there was energy flowing inside. The whole thing exudes a heart-stopping, dangerous atmosphere. The origin of this divine crystal bomb is not simple. The old man continued. It is said to be the masterpiece of a master craftsman in ancient times, and later became lost among the people. We spent a lot of money to get it from a hidden master. After hearing this, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but become more interested in this divine crystal bomb. I wonder how much each one costs. The old man pondered for a moment and then quoted a staggering price, 600,000 high-grade spiritual stones each. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment, then nodded and said, okay, I want them all. The old man was delighted to hear this. DOI are really straightforward. But I still want to remind you that this divine crystal bomb is extremely powerful, so be careful when using it. Ye Changsheng nodded solemnly to show that he understood, and then took out a storage bag and handed it to the old man. There are 3 million high quality spirit stones in it. Please check it. The old man took the storage bag and counted it, then handed the jade box containing the divine crystal bomb to Ye Changsheng. After the transaction was completed, Ye Changsheng asked again, "Senior, do you know where to sell 4th level battleships?" The old man smiled and said, "Dao is lucky. There is a store next door that specializes in selling 4th level battleships." After thanking him, Ye Changsheng immediately went to the store next door. Pushing the door open, a middle-aged man in gorgeous clothes came up to him. "Fellow Daoist, are you interested in our warships?" Ye Changsheng nodded. "Yes, I want to know about the 4th tier warships." The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with surprise, and he quickly said, "We have 3 types of 4th tier low grade, medium grade and high grade warships here. Which one do you want to see? Introduce them to me." Ye Changsheng said. He took Ye Changsheng to a huge exhibition hall, pointed to 3 warships floating in the air and introduced. "This U-0,027 Fian U-0,027 is a 4th tier low grade warship with fast speed and good flexibility. It is suitable for small scale operations. It is equipped with 36 4th tier low grade spiritual cannons and is priced at 1 million high grade spiritual stones. This U-0,027 Leiting U-0,027 is a 4th tier medium grade warship with both offensive and defensive capabilities. It is also equipped with 36 4th tier medium grade spiritual cannons and is priced at 2.5 million high grade spiritual stones." Chapter 205 Thunder Warship. The last U-0,027 Cheyenne no U-0,027 is a 4th grade high grade warship. Not only is it first rate in offense and defense, it is also equipped with 36 4th grade high grade spiritual cannons and multiple defensive formations. It can be called a mobile fortress. It sells for 5 million high grade spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng looked at the 3 battleships carefully and was especially interested in the Cheyenne. He asked, "The performance of U-0,027 Cheyenne no U-0,027 is indeed good. Is it possible to replace the 4th order high grade spiritual cannon on it with a 4th order low grade one? I want the early stage monks of Zifu to be able to control it." The big man thought for a moment and nodded. "Of course it is possible. After replacing the spiritual cannon, the total price of the battleship will be reduced to 4 million high grade spiritual stones. However, I would like to remind fellow Taoists that doing so will greatly reduce the attack power of the battleship." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "It doesn't matter. I have my own considerations. Just follow this configuration." The big man was overjoyed. "Okay. Please wait a moment, fellow Taoist, and I will arrange to replace the spiritual cannon. It will take about half an hour, so please wait patiently, fellow Taoist." Ye Changsheng nodded in agreement and started looking around in the exhibition hall. He carefully studied the structure and performance of various warships and asked some detailed questions from time to time. Half an hour later, the big man came excitedly and reported, "Fellow Taoist, the battleship has been refitted. Please come with me for inspection." Ye Changsheng followed the big man to the Cheyenne and inspected it carefully. Seeing that everything met the requirements, he nodded with satisfaction. "Not bad, that's it." After that, he took out a storage bag and handed it to the big man. "There are 4 million high grade spiritual stones in it. Please accept it." The big man took the storage bag, carefully counted it, and said respectfully, "Thank you for your patronage, fellow Taoist. This ship U-0,027 Chang'an no U-0,027 will belong to fellow Taoist from now on. If you have any questions, you can come to us at any time." Ye Changsheng nodded in thanks and then put the Cheyenne into the storage bag. He left Yunhei Pavilion with satisfaction, feeling that this trip to the Heavenly Palace had been fruitful. After returning to the real world, Ye Changsheng immediately went to visit his grandfather Ye Jiuhu. "Grandpa, this is what happened." Ye Changsheng sighed and told his grandfather about being forcibly recruited by the Ohara Cultivation Alliance. "There is nothing we can do about it. After all, our family has been breaking through the Z mansion one after another recently, and we can't hide it, even if we want to, Grandpa," Ye Jiuhu said helplessly. "However, I'm still worried about your safety. You must go to Xiangang to buy various trump cards before departure, Grandpa," Ye Jiuhu said. "Grandpa, don't worry. I just came back from Heavenly Palace and spent a huge price to buy a lot of powerful equipment. But then you can rest assured. You are protected by 9 third order 3-legged fire crows and you have various trump cards. So I can rest assured. Grandpa. Ye Jiuhu said, Grandpa, I have informed the great elder Ye Jialang that after I leave, you will be the clan leader. If he cannot make a decision on any major issues, you will make the decision in the future. Ye Changsheng said, it's better not to do it. I'm not suitable to be the leader of the clan, Grandpa. Ye Jiuhu quickly waved his hand. Grandpa, the main responsibilities of the patriarch of our family now actually lie with the great elder, but we are the Zifu Immortal clan. If we have important matters, we must get the support of the ancestors of the Zifu, so that we can work together as one. After I leave, only you will it's the most suitable one. For the sake of the family, you should take over. Ye Changsheng said. Grandpa Ye Jiuhu lowered his head and thought for a while, then said helplessly, okay then. I will take over when you are away. After your service is over, you will take over, then. Let's talk about it then, Ye Changsheng said with a smile. Later, Ye Changsheng left 1 immortal root fruit and 6 3-soul fruits to his grandfather Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng visited his mother Cui Linglang again. Mother Cui Linglang was very worried when she heard that Ye Changsheng was going to be drafted to the front line. Ye Changsheng comforted him. He transferred 5 million family contribution points to his mother Cui Linglang to support her and the contracted Spirit Beast Jasper Kingluan's training. Then he also left 1 immortal root fruit and 6 3-soul fruits for his mother Cui Linglang. Finally, he took out the 3rd order trinity he had just returned from his grandfather Ye Jiuhu and gave it to his mother Cui Linglang to make a contract. In this way, Ye Changsheng felt relieved about his mother's safety. Then within a month, Ye Changsheng slept with 10 ladies one after another. After all, he didn't know when he would come back, and he couldn't delay the great cause of creating people. A month later, Ye Changsheng put 9 3-legged fire crows and 51 second level high grade fire crows into the monster bag. Ye Changsheng piloted the Xing flying boat and flew in the direction of the Golden Light Fortress. According to the map, the Golden Light Fortress is located deep in the Zilong Mountains, and is an important line of defense at the interface between humans and monsters. The flying boat shuttled between the clouds, and Ye Changsheng looked down at the rolling mountains below. The Zilong mountain range is vast and stretches for tens of thousands of miles. The peaks are like huge swords standing in the forest, piercing the sky. Dense virgin forest covers the mountain, lush and green. As he went deeper into the hinterland of the Zilong Mountains, Ye Changsheng became increasingly aware of the danger in this area. From time to time, he could feel the powerful aura coming from below, which was the coercion emanating from various powerful monsters. Some of the aura even made him tremble with fear. It was obviously a great demon in the Zifu realm or even higher levels. Ye Changsheng carefully controlled the flying boat, trying to avoid the areas with the strongest aura. Even so, he could still see huge figures passing through the mountains and forests from time to time, or hear earth-shaking roars from afar. This place was dominated by monsters, and the human sphere of influence was almost gone. Occasionally, Ye Changsheng would see some remains of human settlements. Those once prosperous towns were now in ruins, with weeds growing among the broken walls, telling of the protracted war between humans and monsters. Seeing these scenes, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but worry about the situation of humans during the flight. Ye Changsheng also encountered some dangers. Several times, he sensed that powerful monsters were attacking the flying boat, and had to use various means to avoid them. Fortunately, the Xing flying boat was extremely fast, and with Ye Changsheng's careful operation, he finally escaped danger. In this way, after nearly half a year of arduous journey, Ye Changsheng finally saw the outline of the Golden Light Fortress from a distance. The Golden Light Fortress was majestic, standing like a huge fortress among the mountains. As the distance got closer, the details of the Golden Light Fortress gradually became clear. The entire fortress was transformed from several huge peaks, and the mountains were flattened to form platforms. Tall walls and arrow towers were built on these platforms, and the lights of various defensive formations flashed on the walls. The main body of the fortress is a huge golden castle, towering into the clouds and shining with golden light. which is the origin of the name of the fortress. There are many magic arrays and war machines around the castle, including huge crossbows, catapults, spirit stone cannons and other defensive weapons. Chapter 206 Arrival at the Fortress. These weapons are always pointed at the surroundings, ready to deal with the attacks of monsters at any time. Ye Changsheng noticed that the walls of the fortress were covered with traces of battle. Some places could still see fresh damage. Obviously there had been a fierce battle not long ago. The monks patrolling on the walls looked serious, always alert to the movements around them. Around the fortress, Ye Changsheng saw a large area of scorched earth. There used to be dense forests there, but now there are only bare rocks and charred tree stumps. This area is obviously a buffer zone specially cleared by humans to defend against monsters. Ye Changsheng drove the flying boat and slowly landed at the entrance of the Jingyan fortress. There is a special checkpoint here, which is responsible for reviewing people entering and leaving the fortress. Ye Changsheng put away the flying boat, took out his identity token, and walked towards the checkpoint. The checkpoint was guarded by several monks wearing standard armor. They looked serious and looked at Ye Changsheng vigilantly. The leading cultivator came forward and asked, "Who are you? What do you want?" Ye Changsheng bowed respectfully and replied, "I'm Ye Changsheng, and I'm here to serve in the Golden Light Fortress under the order of the Daewon Zyuxan Alliance. This is my identity token and conscription document." The cultivator took the documents handed over by Ye Changsheng and carefully examined them. After a moment, he nodded and said, "There is no problem with the documents. However, according to regulations, all personnel entering the fortress need to be inspected by the Human Demon Detection Array to prevent the transformation of monsters. Please follow me." Ye Changsheng followed the cultivator to a circular magic array. The runes on the magic array flickered and emitted a faint light. The cultivator motioned Ye Changsheng to stand in the center of the magic array. Ye Changsheng did as he was told and saw the magic array suddenly light up and a beam of light enveloped him. Ye Changsheng felt a gentle energy flowing through his body, as if checking every inch of his flesh and blood. This process lasted for about a quarter of an hour before the light gradually faded. The monk nodded with satisfaction and said, "The test has passed, confirming that you are a human monk. Welcome to the Golden Light Fortress. I will arrange for someone to take you to the registration place. Please follow me." In this way, Ye Changsheng passed the inspection smoothly and officially entered the Golden Light Fortress. Following the monk who led the way, he passed through the magnificent city gate and stepped into this last fortress of humans in the monster territory. The scene inside the Golden Light Fortress amazed Ye Changsheng. The wide streets were crowded with people, and all kinds of shops were lined up, just like a prosperous city. But unlike ordinary cities, the residents here are almost all monks, and the air is filled with rich spiritual energy. Ye Changsheng followed the guide through the bustling streets and came to a magnificent building. This is the command center of the Golden Light Fortress, and it is also the place where new monks report. Ye Changsheng followed the guide to the command center and was taken to a spacious and bright reception room. The interior was simply furnished with a map of the Golden Light Fortress and various rules and regulations hanging on the wall. A middle-aged monk was sitting behind the desk waiting. He was tall and strong, with a resolute face and a pair of piercing eyes that revealed a sharp insight into everything. The monk wore a standard robe unique to the Golden Light Fortress, and observing his aura, he was a Taoist monk. Ye Changsheng was shocked. He didn't expect that the person who was doing the reception in the Golden Light Fortress was actually a Taoist ancestor. "Welcome to the Golden Light Fortress. I'm Li Mingyuan, who is responsible for the reception of newcomers." The middle-aged monk stood up and nodded slightly to Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng saluted respectfully. "I'm Ye Changsheng. Meet Senior Li." Li Mingyuan motioned Ye Changsheng to sit down and began to check his identity documents. He carefully flipped through each page and nodded from time to time. This process lasted for about a quarter of an hour, and Li Mingyuan raised his head with a satisfied look on his face. Ye Changsheng, a disciple of the King's Huyi family of Tangjin, Dazhao Zyuxan realm, under the Daewon Zyuxan Alliance, with the cultivation level of the first level of the Purple Mansion. Li Mingyuan read aloud, "Your identity is correct. Now let me introduce you to the basic situation of the Golden Light Fortress. Next, Li Mingyuan explained in detail the organizational structure, daily tasks, wartime responsibilities, etc. of the fortress. Ye Changsheng listened carefully and asked questions from time to time, and Li Mingyuan answered them patiently. Point after the explanation, Li Mingyuan took out an exquisite jade waist card from the drawer and handed it to Ye Changsheng. This is your identity certificate in the Golden Light Fortress, and it is also an important tool for recording military exploits. Ye Changsheng took the waist card and saw that it was engraved with complex runes and flashed with a faint spiritual light. Li Mingyuan explained, this waist card is arranged with a special magic array, which can record in detail the number and level of monsters you killed. Every time you kill a monster, the relevant information will be automatically recorded in the waist card. The fortress will regularly count military exploits as a basis for assessing merits and promotions. Ye Changsheng carefully examined the waist badge, secretly marveling at its exquisiteness. He solemnly tied the waist badge around his waist and felt a weak spiritual power fluctuation. Obviously the magic circle had been activated. Next, let's arrange your accommodation. Li Mingyuan opened a thick booklet and quickly browsed through it. Based on your cultivation and contribution potential, we decided to assign you a 3rd level lower grade cave. Ye Changsheng was overjoyed when he heard this. Although the 3rd level lower grade cave is not the best, it is already quite good for a newcomer. This shows that the fortress still values him very much. You need to have a good rest. You will be on the front line of the war between humans and demons in a month. Li Mingyuan said. Li Mingyuan called a servant and ordered, take Ye Changsheng to the cave, house number 36 of Jazi. Ye Changsheng thanked Li Mingyuan and followed the servant out of the reception room. Ye Changsheng followed the servant to the cave house assigned to him. Pushing open the stone door with the nameplate No 36 of Jazi, the scene in front of him surprised him. The cave house has a spacious interior, far exceeding his expectations. At the entrance is an elegant courtyard, dotted with rockery and flowing water, creating a natural and harmonious atmosphere. There is a small pavilion in the center of the courtyard, with vines emitting a faint spiritual aura wrapped around the pillars, providing an excellent place to rest after practicing. On one side of the courtyard is a spiritual medicine field. Although the area is not large, it grows various common 1st level spiritual medicines. Ye Changsheng saw a few spiritual ginsengs that had just sprouted and thought to himself that these spiritual medicines could be used to reward servants in the future. Across the courtyard is the main building of the cave. The spacious living room is filled with several pieces of simple furniture and several landscape paintings on the wall, adding a touch of elegance to this place of cultivation. On both sides of the living room are the rest room and storage room, which are simple but well equipped. What Ye Changsheng is most satisfied with is the retreat room located in the deepest part of the cave. The spiritual energy here is rich, and the 4 walls are engraved with spirit gathering formations, which is an excellent place for cultivation. Chapter 207, War is Coming. There is a futon in the center of the retreat room, and several ever-burning lamps are dotted around it, providing sufficient light for long-term retreat. Various 1st level spiritual flowers are planted everywhere in the entire cave, which not only beautifies the environment, but also continuously releases spiritual energy, which is of great benefit to cultivation. Ye Changsheng strolled in it, feeling the rich spiritual energy, and couldn't help but feel sincerely grateful for the generosity of the Golden Light Fortress. After settling down, Ye Changsheng couldn't wait to come to the retreat room and prepare to sacrifice the ancient treasure Zuanshan shield. He sat cross-legged on the futon, took a deep breath, and placed the Zuanshan shield in front of him. First, Ye Changsheng operated the exercises and slowly injected the spiritual power in his body into the Zuanshan shield. A faint light began to appear on the surface of the ancient treasure, and as the spiritual power continued to be injected, the light became more and more intense. Ye Changsheng carefully controlled the output of spiritual power, not daring to be careless. Next, he began to silently recite the sacrifice spell. This is an ancient spell he learned from the family classics, which is said to be able to awaken the dormant power of the ancient treasure. As the spell was chanted, the runes on the Zuanshan shield began to flicker, as if they had come to life. During the ritual, Ye Changsheng felt that the Zuanshan shield was gradually establishing a connection with himself. His consciousness slowly penetrated into the ancient treasure, exploring the mysteries contained in it. In this process, he seemed to see countless pictures flashing by, which were the scenes of the former owner of the Zhuanshan shield using it in battle. As time went on, the ritual became more and more difficult. Sweat beads oozed from Ye Changsheng's forehead, but he gritted his teeth and persevered. He knew that only by fully controlling this ancient treasure could he exert its full power in future battles. Finally, after a full 20 days and nights, the Zhuanshan shield burst into a dazzling light, and then quickly converged. Ye Changsheng felt that he could control this ancient treasure at will. He breathed a sigh of relief, and a gratified smile appeared on his face. After completing the ritual, Ye Changsheng stood up and moved his somewhat stiff body. He secretly calculated in his heart that with the two ancient treasures, Yufeng Wing and Zhuanshan shield, his ability to save his life in dangerous moments would be greatly enhanced. Although Jing'an Fortress is a fortress of mankind, it is always good to be more prepared in the face of the threat of monsters. Ye Changsheng decided to take a break and then began to familiarize himself with the use of these two ancient treasures. He knew that in the upcoming battle, the skillful use of these treasures might be the key to life and death. Since Ye Changsheng's 30th day of retreat, his identity jade card suddenly rang out a majestic voice. Ye Changsheng, immediately go to the west wall of Jing'an Fortress. Qinduan is 20 miles to the right of the city gate, responsible for the attack of the third order lower grade monsters within 100 feet range. Ye Changsheng was shocked when he heard the words, and immediately packed up and drove the flying sword to the designated location. Jing'an Fortress has 4 walls, each with 12 gates, and a large scale. When he arrived at the designated location, there was already a dark army of monsters opposite the west wall. From afar, countless monsters surged like a tide, with terrifying momentum. The huge bodies of various monsters cast huge shadows in the sun, as if they were going to swallow the whole world. Ye Changsheng saw giant elephant monsters as big as hills, and every step they took made the earth tremble. There were also winged griffin monsters circling in the air, making piercing screams. There were also lizard monsters covered with hard scales, spitting out scarlet tongues, and flashing bloodthirsty light in their eyes. Most of them were second level monsters, but Ye Changsheng was surprised to find that there were also a large number of third level monsters, at least 20%. What was even more shocking was that he even saw the figures of many 4th level monsters. Although these high level monsters were not many in number, each of them exuded a powerful breath that made people palpitate. There were thunder eagles with lightning all over their bodies, and their wings were more than 10 feet wide when they spread out. There was also a fire wolf king with blazing flames all over his body, and every roar caused the sky and the earth to change color. Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and turned his gaze to the city wall. Every 100 meters on the city wall stood a huge spiritual cannon, with the muzzle flashing with various colors, ready to go. Every 50 meters there was a bed crossbow, with crossbow arrows as thick as a child's arm, shining with cold light. Behind these defensive weapons, countless foundation building monks stood densely. Within the 100-foot range that Ye Changsheng was responsible for, there were 200 foundation building monks. All of these monks looked serious, holding magic tools, ready to fight monsters at any time. Some monks were regulating their breath and resting their spirits, while others were checking their talismans and elixir reserves. There were also some Daoting level elders on the city wall patrolling back and forth, directing the defense deployment. Suddenly, the army of monsters in the distance began to stir, and they were about to launch an attack a few kilometers away from the city wall. The monks on the city wall immediately entered combat mode, and the spiritual cannons began to charge, making a buzzing sound. Following an order, the spiritual cannons on the city wall fired at the same time. The brilliant beams of light cut through the sky and hit the monster army like a meteor shower. The second and third level spiritual cannons were incredibly powerful, and monsters fell wherever they went. Some monsters were vaporized on the spot, while others were blown to pieces for a while. The monster camp was filled with wailing, and blood and flesh flying everywhere. The miserable state of the monsters hit by the spiritual cannons was shocking. Some giant elephant monsters were blown to only half of their bodies, but they were still struggling in pain. Some flying monsters were hit in the wings and fell from high altitude, killing a large number of their companions. What's more, some smaller monsters were directly blown away by the airwaves and disintegrated in the air. However, the monster army seemed tireless and continued to rush towards the city wall point. When they approached within a kilometer, countless crossbows on the city wall began to show their power. Crossbow arrows several feet long and as thick as bowls poured down like rain, causing huge damage to the monsters. These crossbow arrows were not only of amazing size, but also attached with various spells. Some crossbow arrows were wrapped in flames, and they instantly ignited after hitting the monsters, burning them to ashes. Some crossbow arrows were wrapped in ice power, and after hitting the monsters, they froze the monsters into ice sculptures. Some crossbow arrows contained highly toxic substances, and even a scratch could make the monsters feel miserable. For a time, the formation of the monster army was beaten to pieces, but they were still charging forward frantically, trampling on the bodies of their companions, and one after another. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but take a breath. When he saw this scene, he knew that the real test had just begun. As the monster army approached, the defense system of the Jingyan fortress was fully activated. The monks on the city wall were ready to fight this life and death battle. Suddenly, several huge second-level monsters jumped up with amazing explosive power and climbed up the dozens of feet high city wall. These monsters had different shapes. Some looked like giant lizards, some looked like ferocious tigers, and some looked like giant snakes with wings. As soon as they landed, they launched a fierce attack on the surrounding monks. The foundation building monks under Ye Changsheng immediately launched a counterattack. Chapter 208, Killing the Four Demons. Dozens of sword lights flashed, and the flying swords cut through the sky like meteors, going straight to the vitals of the monster. A cultivator in the late stage of foundation building sacrificed a green flying sword, with sharp wind blades wrapped around the sword, instantly cutting the scales of a lizard-like monster, and blood splashed everywhere. Another cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building took out a stack of talismans and chanted something. In an instant, the talismans turned into thunder and struck the winged snake monster amidst the lightning. The winged snake screamed miserably, and its body twitched continuously. However, the monster's counterattack was equally fierce. The tiger-shaped monster opened its bloody mouth and spewed out a ball of flames, instantly devouring 3 cultivators in the early stage of foundation building. They were burnt to ashes before they could dodge. Another rhinoceros-like monster charged at an astonishing speed, and its huge horn was like a sharp spear, directly piercing the chests of 2 cultivators in the middle stage of foundation building. Blood gushed out, dyeing the city wall red. The battle was extremely brutal. In just a short moment, 7 or 8 foundation building monks under Ye Changsheng's command had already died. However, Ye Changsheng, a purple mansion cultivator, did not move at all, watching everything calmly. This was not because he was cold-blooded and ruthless, but because he followed strict tactical arrangements. As a purple mansion cultivator, his task was to deal with the upcoming 3rd level low-grade monster beasts behind him. There were also strong men in the middle and late stages of the purple mansion waiting for orders. This was a battle between soldiers and soldiers, and between generals and generals. As more and more second-level monster beasts were killed, the situation began to change. I saw several huge figures suddenly emerge from the monster army, which were dozens of 3rd-level monster beasts. They were even bigger in size and more ferocious in aura. They easily broke through the defense line and attacked the top of the city wall. 4 3rd-level low-grade monster beasts suddenly surged into the area that Ye Changsheng was responsible for. Faced with this situation, Ye Changsheng had to respond immediately. He quickly summoned 9 3-legged fire crows, but did not release them all at once. Instead, he left only 3 to deal with the 3rd-level monster beast that was shaped like a giant elephant, and the remaining 2 each to deal with the other 3 3rd-level monster beasts. Ye Changsheng personally faced the monster elephant. He summoned an ordinary 3rd-level flying sword, and at the same time, condensed a 5-element shield in front of him as a defense. The monster elephant flicked its nose, and a stream of water lashed at Ye Changsheng like a long whip. Ye Changsheng hurriedly raised the 5-element shield to block it, and there was a loud bang, and the 5-element shield vibrated violently and almost fell out of his hand. Ye Changsheng took the opportunity to control the flying sword, drawing a beautiful arc, and went straight to the monster elephant's eyes. However, the monster elephant flexibly turned its head to avoid it, and at the same time, raised its front hoof, and stepped down heavily. Ye Changsheng hurriedly used his body skills to dodge, but was still shaken by the aftermath, and stumbled back. The battle lasted for nearly half an hour, and the situation on Ye Changsheng's side became precarious. The attack power of the demon elephant was far beyond his imagination, and it almost shattered his 5-element shield several times. The demon elephant's attack fell directly on Ye Changsheng. Fortunately, he was wearing the protective robe of the star robe, so he was not injured. Even so, Ye Changsheng felt a burst of pain, and his blood was surging. At this critical moment, the 3-legged fire crow sent by Ye Changsheng finally solved a 3rd level low-grade demon beast. He immediately dispatched the 2 fire crows to help and join the siege of the demon elephant. 5 3-legged fire crows circled in the air, constantly spewing flames, covering the demon elephant. The demon elephant screamed in pain, and its fur was burned black. Ye Changsheng took the opportunity to control the flying sword, leaving wounds on the demon elephant. However, the demon elephant's vitality was extremely tenacious. It suddenly howled to the sky, and a layer of light blue light appeared around it. Ye Changsheng was shocked and realized that this was the innate magical power of the water demon beast. Sure enough, the next moment, a large number of water droplets appeared out of thin air in the sky, and a huge water ball instantly formed to wrap the demon elephant. The flame attack of the 3-legged fire crow immediately lost its effect, and was easily extinguished by the water ball. Not only that, the water ball continued to expand and spread in all directions. Ye Changsheng hurriedly retreated and used the 5-element shield to resist. However, the power of the water ball was far beyond imagination. With a click, a crack appeared on the 5-element shield. The situation was critical, and Ye Changsheng had to deal with it with all his strength. While controlling the flying sword to continuously attack the water ball, trying to break the defense, he commanded the 3-legged fire crow to find a weak point. After some efforts, the water ball finally showed a slight fluctuation. Ye Changsheng seized the opportunity, poured all his spiritual power into the flying sword, and stabbed it fiercely into the place where it fluctuated. With a loud bang, the water ball exploded and turned into countless water droplets that splashed everywhere. The defense of the demon elephant was broken, and its body was also stagnant. Ye Changsheng lost no time, and controlled the flying sword to go straight to the vital point between the eyebrows of the demon elephant. At the same time, 6 3-legged fire crows also launched attacks at the same time. Spewing out blazing flames, the demon elephant let out a mournful cry, and its huge body fell to the ground with a bang. Ye Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief, finally solving this tricky opponent. Ye Changsheng led 5 3-legged fire crows and quickly besieged the remaining 2 3rd-level low-grade monsters. These 2 monsters were a bird monster and a wolf monster. Although they were powerful, they soon fell into a disadvantage in the face of Ye Changsheng's exquisite swordsmanship and the coordinated attacks of the 3-legged fire crows. The bird monster spread its huge wings and tried to escape with the advantage of high altitude, but the 3-legged fire crows were well prepared. They spewed out blazing flames, forming a fire net, trapping the bird monster in it. Ye Changsheng seized the opportunity and controlled the flying sword to pierce the bird monster's vitals like lightning. The bird demon let out a shrill cry and fell from the sky. The wolf demon, with its agility, shuttled back and forth on the city wall, trying to find a breakthrough. But Ye Changsheng's swordsmanship was as smooth as flowing water, and every sword blocked the wolf demon's retreat just right. The 3-legged fire crows kept spitting fireballs, forcing the wolf demon into trouble. Finally, under a sharp sword strike, the wolf demon also fell in a pool of blood. In just half a minute, Ye Changsheng solved the 2 3rd-level low-grade monsters. He breathed a sigh of relief and casually put the bodies of 4 3rd-level low-grade monsters into the storage bag. These monster corpses can not only be used to extract precious materials, but also to refine various elixirs. They are rare treasures. After solving the threat in front of him, Ye Changsheng looked up and looked around. On the 100-foot city wall he was responsible for, high-level battles continued. 4 mid-stage purple mansion cultivators were fighting 4 3rd-level mid-grade monsters, and the scene was very intense. A monster resembling a giant python was seen entrenched on the city wall, spitting out waves of poisonous mist, trying to erode the cultivator's defenses. 2 cultivators worked together, to lay a spiritual barrier, barely resisting the invasion of the poisonous mist. The other two cultivators took the opportunity to launch an attack. One of them used a giant axe to chop the monster's scales, the other controlled countless flying needles and kept stabbing the monster's vital points. Although the monsters of the same level had a slight advantage in strength, the cultivators relied on tacit cooperation and rich combat experience to temporarily control the situation well. Chapter 209 Phoenix Female Cultivator. Although the battle was fierce, no casualties had occurred so far. Not far away, two late-stage purple mansion monks were fighting fiercely with two third-level high-quality monsters. A lion-like monster opened its bloody mouth and let out a deafening roar. The sound waves turned into a substantial attack and attacked the monks. A white-robed monk quickly formed a seal and condensed a sound wave barrier in front of him, which completely dispelled the monster's attack point. The other monster was a huge unicorn, its horn flashing with strange light, constantly emitting sharp light blades. Another monk in a green shirt held a folding fan, and every wave could stimulate powerful wind blades to offset the monster's attack point. Although these two third-level high-quality monsters were powerful, the two late-stage purple mansion monks were not ordinary people. They cooperated tacitly, one attacking and one defending, completely dispelling the monster's offensive, and at the same time they could find time to launch a counter-attack point. Although the battle was stalemate, the monks did not fall into a disadvantage point while paying attention to the battle situation around him. Ye Changsheng was cautiously alert to the third-level low-grade monster beast that might appear again on the opposite side. Suddenly, a sharp phoenix cry came from not far away. The sound was so loud that it shocked the surrounding people and monsters. Ye Changsheng looked in the direction of the sound and saw a female cultivator in the middle stage of the purple mansion in a red long skirt fighting an eagle monster. The female cultivator had a graceful figure and long hair. Although she was in a fierce battle, she still maintained an elegant posture. At this moment, the female cultivator seemed to have used some tricks. She made seals with her hands and chanted a spell, and suddenly a dazzling red light burst out from her body. The red light quickly condensed and turned into a huge fire phoenix. The fire phoenix spread its wings, which were dozens of feet wide, and burned with blazing flames all over its body. It made a loud cry, and the sound contained infinite power. Following the guidance of the female cultivator, the fire phoenix swooped towards the eagle monster. The figure of the fire phoenix drew a graceful arc in the air, and the air was distorted wherever it passed. Each of its feathers flashed with brilliant light, as if countless meteors were falling. When the fire phoenix approached the eagle demon, it suddenly burst into a strong light, as if a small sun exploded in the sky. This move was gorgeous and powerful, just like a real phoenix descending on the earth. The eagle demon had nowhere to escape under this terrifying attack, and was instantly swallowed by the fire phoenix. When the light dissipated, the eagle demon had turned into a ball of ashes and drifted away with the wind. This amazing scene made Ye Changsheng stunned. At that moment, he felt that this female cultivator was simply invincible. Coupled with that beautiful face, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. After the female cultivator finished her move, she turned around and looked around. Her eyes happened to meet Ye Changsheng's. She smiled slightly, nodded to Ye Changsheng, and then joined the battle again. Ye Changsheng came back to his senses and shook his head secretly. Now is not the time for sentimental love. There are more important things to do right now. He took a deep breath, adjusted his state, and prepared to meet the next wave of monster attacks. Because he knew that the battle was far from over. Looking up, more monsters were pouring in, and powerful breaths flashed in the sky from time to time. It was obvious that higher level monsters were approaching. Ye Changsheng wiped the sweat from his forehead, and after a short breath, he joined the battle again. The second wave of monster attacks was more fierce than the first wave. Ye Changsheng was surprised to find that the number of third level low grade monsters rushing towards the area he was responsible for had doubled to 6. Although the number increased, fortunately, these monsters were relatively easy to deal with, and there was no difficult giant elephant monster in the previous wave. Ye Changsheng quickly summoned 9 3-legged fire crows and prepared to fight. He saw 3 third-level low-grade dark crows swooping towards the city wall, and their dark feathers glowed strangely in the sun. There were also 2 silver-backed wolf demons They were huge, their silverback hair was shining, and their fangs were as sharp as knives. The last one was a three-headed dog demon. The three dog heads kept roaring, and the six eyes flashed with bloodthirsty light. The battle broke out instantly. Ye Changsheng commanded the three-legged fire crows to be divided into three groups, each responsible for dealing with two monsters. He himself held a long sword, ready to support at any time. The three fire crows faced the dark crows, spewing hot flames from their mouths, and engaged in a fierce fight with the dark crows in the air. The flames and black feathers intertwined in the sky, and there were shrill cries from time to time. The other three fire crows faced the silver-backed wolf demon. They flexibly circled around the wolf demon, constantly harassing each other with flames. Although the wolf demon was extremely powerful, it was clumsy in the air, and could only jump and roar in vain. The last three fire crows engaged in a fierce close combat with the three-headed dog demon. The three heads of the dog demon kept biting, while the fire crow fought back. With claws and flames, Ye Changsheng ran back and forth on the city wall, occasionally using his flying sword to support the trapped fire crow. His swordsmanship was exquisite, and each sword could cause considerable damage to the monster. However, the battle was still very fierce. Most of Ye Changsheng's foundation building cultivators had been killed, and three Purple Mansion early cultivators who could be observed nearby had also been killed. At this critical moment, a series of golden lights suddenly shot out from the Golden Light Fortress, accompanied by a series of urgent commands. The new reserve team quickly filled the vacant positions and stabilized the defense line again. Just when Ye Changsheng was concentrating on the battle, a majestic cultivator in the early stage of the Purple Mansion caught his attention. This cultivator was nearly 2 meters tall, with muscular body and a wild aura all over his body. He had a thick beard and a pair of tiger eyes, which gave people a sense of majesty without anger. He was wearing a leather armor with scars of all sizes, and it was obvious that he had experienced countless fierce battles. This strong man was fighting fiercely with a third-level inferior earth bear. The earth bear was huge, covered with thick brown hair, and its claws were like shovels. Every time it swung, it could leave deep grooves on the ground. The strong man held a huge flying sword. The sword body was as thick as an adult's arm, and the sword edge was shining coldly. He and the earth bear were entangled in a fight, and the two sides fought back and forth, and it was hard to tell. The earth bear had been chopped with many huge wounds, and the blood dyed its hair red. However, the situation of the strong man was not optimistic. He had been hit by the bare paws of the earth bear many times, and blood kept coming out of his mouth. He had broken several ribs, and his left arm was obviously fractured. But the strong man seemed tireless and still fiercely controlled the huge flying sword to fight the earth bear. Suddenly, he was hit by the earth bear again, and fell heavily to the ground. The strong man cursed, "Damn beast." After that, he actually spit out 3 breaths of essence directly at his flying sword. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210, Fierce Fire. Ye Changsheng immediately realized that this strong man was planning to die together. Sure enough, the power of the giant sword blessed by energy surged, and it cut off the earth bear's left arm with one sword strike, and then cut a huge wound on it, almost cutting it off at the waist. The wild bear let out a shrill wail, fell to the ground, and was dying. The strong man staggered to his feet, and was about to step forward to kill the earth bear. However, at this moment, the earth bear, who had closed his eyes, suddenly opened his eyes, burst out his last strength, and struck a fatal blow towards the strong man. Ye Changsheng was shocked when he saw this scene. He knew that, if this palm hit, the strong man would be beaten to a pulp. At the critical moment, Ye Changsheng used the 12 mysterious light swords without hesitation. 12 flying swords whizzed past like a whirlwind, not only cutting off the right arm of the earth bear, but also cutting off its head. The earth bear's body fell heavily to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. The strong man had closed his eyes and waited for death. Now he opened his eyes and saw the scene in front of him, and he couldn't help but be stunned. He turned to look at Ye Changsheng, his eyes filled with gratitude. He stood up with difficulty, bowed deeply to Ye Chang, and said in a hoarse but sincere voice, "I'm Huoli. Thank you fellow Taoist for saving my life." Ye Changsheng smiled and returned the greeting. "You're welcome, it's just a little effort." The two looked at each other and smiled, and then they plunged into the fierce battle. Throughout the battlefield, human monks and monster beast armies were fighting together, with shouts of killing and beast roars coming and going. The fluctuations of spiritual power and the light of magic weapons intertwined in the air, forming a spectacular and terrifying picture. It wasn't until night fell that the monster army finally retreated. On this day, they launched a total of 3 waves of fierce attacks, but they were all stubbornly repelled by the human monks. When the last monster disappeared on the horizon, the entire golden light fortress burst into cheers. Ye Changsheng and other monks finally got a chance to change shifts and rest. With tired but proud smiles on their faces, they high-fived each other in celebration. Although they paid a heavy price, they successfully defended the human defense line. Ye Changsheng looked at the army of monsters disappearing in the distance, feeling both grateful to survive the disaster and worried about the future. After the battle, Ye Changsheng and the other monks finally got a chance to take a break. With tired but proud smiles on their faces, they high-fived each other in celebration. Although they paid a heavy price, they successfully defended the human defense line. Ye Changsheng looked at the army of monsters disappearing in the distance, feeling both grateful to survive the disaster and worried about the future. He took a deep breath and turned around to leave the city wall, but found the strong man walking towards him. Brother, wait. Ye Changsheng stopped, turned around, and found that it was the strong man he had saved just now. The strong man strode up to Ye Changsheng, and every step he took seemed to carry the power of shaking the earth. "Brother, my name is Huoli," the strong man said straight to the point, his voice like rolling thunder. "Thanks to your help just now, otherwise I might have become a meal for that wild bear." Ye Changsheng smiled and waved his hand. "Brother Huo is serious, it's just a little effort. On this battlefield, we should help each other." Huo Li laughed, his laughter full of heroic spirit. "Okay, little brother is indeed a cheerful person." As he spoke, he took out a bulging storage bag from his arms and said, "This is the trophy of that wild bear. You must accept it." Ye Changsheng waved his hand quickly. "Brother Huo, how can this be done? That's the trophy you got from fighting to the death. How can I accept it?" Huo Li couldn't help but stuff the storage bag into Ye Changsheng's hand. "Little brother, without your help, this trophy wouldn't be mine. If you don't accept it, I'll feel very sorry." Seeing Huo Li's sincere eyes, Ye Changsheng felt warm in his heart. He was about to say something, but Huo Li spoke again. "Little brother, I'm a casual cultivator from the world of cultivating immortals in the Great Wei Dynasty. I'm ashamed to say that, because I offended some people, I was targeted by the Great Plains Cultivation Alliance, so I came here seek refuge on the front lines." When Ye Changsheng heard this, he couldn't help but sympathize with this rough and bold man. He smiled and said, "Brother Huo, don't worry. My name is Ye Changsheng, from the King's Huyi family in the Dazao immortal world." The more the two chatted, the more they became interested. Huo Li's forthright personality made Ye Changsheng feel more cordial. Huo Li patted his chest and said, "Brother Ye, we felt like old friends when we met today. I'm determined to be this friend." Ye Changsheng was also infected by Huo Li's enthusiasm. He took out a crystal clear pill from the storage ring and said, "Brother Huo, this is a spiritual healing pill. Please accept it." When Huo Li saw the pill, his eyes widened immediately. "Brother Ye, do you know how precious this spiritual healing pill is on the front line? Now it has risen to 400,000 spirit stones per pill." Ye Changsheng was shocked when he heard this, thinking that this elixir only had 120,000 spiritual stones in the heavenly palace. He was secretly glad that he had stocked up a batch of elixirs in Xiangang before coming. It seemed that this decision was the right one. Huo Li waved his hands repeatedly. "This is too valuable. I can't accept it." Ye Changsheng had an idea and said, "Brother Huo, if you have a third level fire demon elixir, you might as well exchange it with me. I have 9 3-legged fire crows here, and I need this kind of thing." Huo. Lai's eyes lit up. What a coincidence. I happen to have a third level fire python's inner elixir here. I'll give it to you first, brother. When I get more fire inner elixirs in the future, I'll send some to you. The two smiled at each other and exchanged contact information point before leaving. Huo Lai patted Ye Changsheng's shoulder hard, and the brute force almost knocked Ye Changsheng down. "Brother. Ye. See you later." Huo Lai laughed heartily. Ye Changsheng watched Huo Lai's burly back gradually disappear in the night and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It's not bad to meet such a sincere friend on this dangerous front. Back to the rest area, Ye Changsheng began to adjust his breath and recover. Because he had been on the battlefield once, he could rest for 5 days. Ye Changsheng decided to make good use of this time, not only to recover his physical strength, but also to prepare for the next more difficult battle. The next day, Ye Changsheng rested quietly in the cave and adjusted his body and mind. After a day of adjusting his breath, his physical strength and magic power had basically recovered to the peak state. On the morning of the third day, after getting up and washing up, Ye Changsheng sat on the futon and began to study the Taoist canon. He held an ancient thread-bound book in his hand, and his eyes scanned every line of text attentively, frowning and thinking from time to time. On the coffee table beside him, a pot of clear tea was steaming. Just as Ye Changsheng was immersed in the mysterious Taoism, a weak spiritual power fluctuation suddenly came. He looked up and found that it was a communication paper talisman floating in the air. Chapter 211 The Four Heroes of Zifu. Ye Changsheng reached out to take the paper talisman, glanced at it with his consciousness, and suddenly smiled. It turned out that fellow Taoist Tuoli whom I met yesterday was visiting. Ye Changsheng immediately stood up, used his magic power to control the formation of the cave, and opened a door. Not long after, I saw a burly figure striding in. It was Huo Lai. With a hearty smile on his face, he cupped his fists and saluted Ye Changsheng. "Brother Ye." "Excuse me, Ye." Changsheng hurriedly returned the greeting. "Brother Huo is too polite. Please sit down quickly." The two exchanged pleasantries, and Ye Changsheng brewed a cup of tea for Huo Lai. Huo Lai took a sip and praised it profusely. "Good tea. Brother Ye really enjoys it." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "Some vulgar things are not respectful. By the way, Brother Huo, I wonder why you came here today." Huo Lai's eyes lit up. He took out a round elixir that shone with fiery red light from his storage bag and handed it to Ye Changsheng. "Brother Ye, what do you think this is?" Ye Changsheng took it and looked at it and said in surprise, "This is the third level low grade fire attribute demon elixir." "Brother Huo, where did you get it from?" Huo Lai said proudly, "Hey, I just exchanged it with a fellow Taoist. I thought you needed this, Brother Ye, so I rushed over immediately." Ye Changsheng was overjoyed and quickly thanked him. "Thank you, Brother Huo, for remembering me. I will remember this friendship." The two looked at each other, smiled, and immediately started chatting. They talked about everything from cultivating their minds to what they saw on the battlefield, to their own adventures. Time flies, and it's noon in a blink of an eye. Huo Lai looked at the sun outside the window and said with some lingering thoughts, "Brother Ye, time flies so fast. By the way, I have something else to ask you." Ye Changsheng asked curiously, "Brother Huo, please tell me." Huo Lai lowered his voice and said, "It's like this. We have a small circle and we often get together to exchange information and exchange treasures. There is a party at noon today. I wonder if Brother Ye is interested in attending." Ye Changsheng's eyes lit up, and he nodded quickly. "Of course I'm interested. Thank you Brother Huo for the invitation." Huo Lai laughed loudly. "That's great. There are only 6 of us in total, and we are all trustworthy friends. With Brother Ye joining us, I believe it will be more lively." The two left the cave while talking and laughing. On the way to the meeting place, Huo Lai suddenly remembered something and asked, "By the way, Brother Ye, do you still have any leftovers from your previous batch of spiritual healing pills?" Ye Changsheng nodded and said, "There are still some left. What's the matter?" Huo Lai said excitedly. Great. In addition to exchanging information, our small circle gathering will also exchange some rare items. If you bring some spiritual healing pills, you will definitely be able to exchange for a lot of good things. Ye Changsheng suddenly realized it and quickly took out some spiritual healing pills from his storage bag for later use. The two of them came to an ordinary looking inn. While talking and laughing, Huo Lai took Ye Changsheng to a private room on the second floor and knocked on the door gently. The door opened silently, and the two of them walked in. Ye Changsheng discovered that this elegant room was surrounded by soundproof formations, which were obviously carefully arranged. Ye Changsheng walked in and found that 5 people were already sitting in the room. They looked at the new stranger with various expressions. Huo Lai introduced with a smile. Everyone, this is my new brother Ye Changsheng. Brother Ye, come, let me introduce you. He pointed to a middle-aged couple sitting in the main seat. These two are Taoist monks Song Taishan and Taoist friend Zhang Suxin. Song Taishan has a burly figure and a resolute face. At first glance, he looks like a man with a bold personality. He nodded to Ye Changsheng and said with a smile, I have long admired your name, Zhang. Suxin is gentle and virtuous. With a bit of shrewdness in her eyebrows, she smiled and said, welcome to fellow Daoist Yi to join us. Huo Lai pointed at a stern young man again. This is fellow Taoist Yu Tixin. Yu Tixin was dressed in a green shirt, with a thin face, and a bit of bookishness between his brows. He just glanced at Ye Changsheng lightly, and nodded slightly as a greeting. This is fellow Taoist Shense. Huo Lai introduced. Shense was a handsome young man with a smile on his face. He stood up, and cupped his hands and said, fellow Daoist Yi, I'm glad to meet you. Finally, Huo Lai pointed at a cold and charming woman. This is fellow Taoist Bei Shuang. Bei Shuang was dressed in white and had a beautiful appearance, but her expression was cold, and she just nodded slightly. Ye Changsheng returned the greetings one by one and said politely, I'm Ye Changsheng. I have met all of you fellow Taoists. Huo Lai smiled and said, fellow Daoist Yi saved my life the day before yesterday and also gave me a precious spiritual healing pill. He still had some of this elixir on him, so I invited him to our party. Shense's eyes lit up. Oh, spiritual healing pill? That's a good thing. Ye Changsheng understood and immediately said, I do have a few spiritual healing pills. If you are interested, you can exchange them at a price that is 10% lower than the price on the market. I just want to compare the fire attribute demon pills, rare elixirs, and elixir seeds. I'm more interested in the spiritual fruit core. Song Taishan laughed loudly. Fellow Daoist Yi is really happy. I happen to have 2 3rd-level low-grade fire attribute demon pills here. I wonder if I can exchange them for a spiritual healing pill. Ye Changsheng nodded and said, of course. But we still need to add some spiritual stones. Song Taishan readily agreed. Several other people also expressed their willingness to exchange. Soon, Ye Changsheng exchanged all 5 spiritual healing pills in his hand and got 10 3rd-level low-grade fire attribute demon pills and hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. After the transaction was completed, Shense asked with a smile, fellow Daoist Yi, I wonder what your specialty is? In our small circle, everyone has his own uniqueness. Ye Changsheng understood that this was a test of his strength. He was about to answer, but Huo Lai said first, fellow Daoist Yi is a master with 9 3-legged fire crows. The day before yesterday, he killed 4 3rd-level low-grade monsters alone, including a giant elephant monster. When this was said, everyone was shocked. Song Taishan exclaimed, wow. This combat power is almost catching up with the masters of the level of the 4 heroes of Zifu. Even Bei Shuang, who was always cold, had a glimmer in her eyes when Ye Changsheng heard the title 4 Heroes of Purple Mansion. He couldn't help but ask curiously, what does 4 Heroes of Purple Mansion mean? This is the first time I've heard of it. Shen Se smiled and explained, fellow Daoist Yi is new here, so it's normal that you don't know these. In fact, there are not only 4 heroes of Purple Mansion, but also the 2 saints of Dao Court, 10 outstanding foundation builders, and so on in our Golden Light Fortress. So, that's it. Ye Changsheng suddenly realized, I wonder who are the 2 saints of Dao Court and the 4 heroes of Purple Mansion. Shen Se cleared his throat and began to introduce in detail. The two saints of Dao Court are they are Zuan Yang Zenran and Teisu Zenran. Zuan Yang Zenran is good at thunder magic. It is said that one move of U-0,027 9 Heavens Thunder U-0,027 can instantly kill 4 monsters of the same level. Teishu Daojin has unparalleled speed and can come and go freely on the battlefield. These two can be said to be the Ye Changsheng of our Jingyan fortress. Every time they make a move, they can turn the tide of the battle. As for the 4 heroes of Zifu, Shense continued, they are Sword Immortal Ye Changsheng, Sword King Zhao Wuji, Formation Master Qian Yiming, and Beast Taming Master Sun King Guyan. Chapter 212 The Two Saints of Dao Court. Ye Changsheng can cut mountains and rivers with one sword. Zhao Wuji can make ghosts cry and wolves howl when he unleashes his sword energy. Qian Yiming sets up formations like a god, and Sun King Guyan controls beasts like his arms and fingers. Every time these 4 take action, they can kill at least 4 monsters of the same level, or even more. Their presence has greatly boosted the morale of our monks. Ye Changsheng nodded repeatedly after hearing this. Full of admiration for these legendary figures, he asked again, then how is your small circle organized? Huo Lai took over and replied with a smile, we are all monks who have been on the front line of the battlefield for more than half a year, and the battle lines are adjacent. The main purpose of forming this small circle is to support each other in battle. After all, in such a dangerous environment, more friends mean more paths. Ye Changsheng suddenly realized, I see. If you can persist on this kind of battlefield for half a year, you must be a master with both combat power, knowledge, and alertness, fellow Daoist Ye. Thank you very much, Song. Taishan smiled and said, we are just doing our part. Please take good care of us in the future. Ye Changsheng responded quickly, fellow Taoists are the masters. Please give me your advice in the future. Everyone nodded, acquiescing to Ye Changsheng joining their circle. Bei Shuang said at this time, since everyone is here, why not share the latest information? Great idea. Shense's eyes lit up. I recently received news that Xiangang Pavilion has newly refined a batch of magic weapons, which are of high quality. First come, first served. Oh. Xiangang Pavilion's magic weapons are always of high quality. Song Taishan said excitedly, I wonder what kind of magic weapon it is. Shen Se smiled mysteriously. It is said that there are 5 elements of armor, demon breaking swords, wine chasing boots, etc., which are all very practical magic weapons. Then you have to hurry up and go see it. Huo Lai said, this kind of good stuff will definitely be robbed soon. Bei Shuang continued, I also have news. Danding Pavilion has recently developed a new healing elixir. It is said to be extremely effective and is particularly effective in treating injuries caused by monsters. This is great news. Shen Se said in surprise, on this kind of battlefield, healing elixirs are indispensable. That's right. Bei Shuang nodded and said, but the quantity is limited and it's first come, first served. At this moment, Song Taishan said solemnly, I just got an inside message. I'm afraid it's not very optimistic. Everyone's eyes immediately focused on him. Song Taishan lowered his voice and said, it is said that the demon beasts are going to increase their offensive. The demon emperor has deployed the Crane clan to join the war and prepare to attack the Golden Light Fortress. What? Huo Lai exclaimed, the Crane clan is known for its speed. If they join the war, our defense line may suffer heavy losses. Shen Se frowned and thought, the Golden Light Fortress is our important stronghold. If it falls, the consequences will be disastrous. Bei Shuang said calmly, yes, we must also be prepared. This battle will probably be more difficult than before. Everyone nodded one after another with solemn expressions. Huo Lai took a deep breath and broke the heavy atmosphere. In this case, we must seize the time to improve our strength. We must go and see the magic weapon of Xiangang Pavilion and the elixir of Danding Pavilion. That's right. Song Taishan agreed. Let's set out now and try to buy some good things. Ye Changsheng also nodded and said, I also want to take a look. I wonder if I can ask some fellow Taoists to show me the way. Sure. Huo Lai said cheerfully, let's go together. We can also chat and exchange combat experiences on the way. In this way, the 6 people walked together and set off towards Xiangang Pavilion and Danding Pavilion Point. Along the way, they discussed the upcoming war and exchanged their experiences. After everyone left the inn, they quickly arrived at Danding Pavilion, which was not far away. When he opened the door, a strong fragrance of red pepper rushed to his face. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but take a deep breath and felt refreshed. However, what caught my eye was a scene of crowds of people. The entire Danding Pavilion was crowded with monks, noisily bargaining, and the scene was very lively. Seeing this situation, Huo Lai shook his head helplessly and explained to Ye Changsheng, the special situation of the Golden Light Fortress has caused a shortage of materials here. Most monks cannot leave it once they enter the fortress, so all kinds of resources are very popular. Sensei added, except for a few large franchised stores, other small businesses are often out of stock. This causes the prices in the Golden Light Fortress to be much higher than outside. Ye Changsheng suddenly realized, no wonder it's so crowded here. It turns out that everyone is rushing to buy supplies. Bei Shuang said coldly, but after our several collective protests, the situation has become much better than before. At least we can buy things now, unlike before where we couldn't even see them. Everyone crowded into the store and began to select the elixirs they needed. Ye Changsheng noticed that except for himself, everyone else was carefully selecting various elixirs. It seemed that they all had clear purchasing goals. Ye Changsheng bought a bottle of 12 third level spiritual recovery pills for a cost of 150,000 spiritual stones. After a while, Huo Lai, Shense, Yutixin and Bei Shuang all bought the elixirs they needed, with satisfied smiles on their faces. However, Song Taishan and Zhang Sixin stood in front of a counter. Looking embarrassed, Ye Changsheng walked over curiously and asked softly, fellow Daoist Song, fellow Daoist Zhang, what's wrong with you? Didn't you find the elixir you need? Song Taishan smiled bitterly and shook his head. I found it, but, Zhang Sixin took over the conversation and explained, the yin yang daotaden we need for cultivation is finally available, but we don't have enough spirit stones. Ye Changsheng suddenly realized, thought about it, and took out a bag full of spirit stones from the storage bag without saying a word, and handed it to Song Taishan. Fellow Daoist Song, here are 500,000 spirit stones. You can use them first, and return them to me when you have them later. Song Taishan and Zhang Sixin and his wife were immediately surprised and happy, but they hesitated. This is too much. How can we be embarrassed? Ye Changsheng smiled and waved his hand. We are all friends. Why be so polite? This little spirit stone is nothing. Huo Lai and others heard this conversation and looked at Ye Changsheng with admiration. Shense praised, fellow Daoist, he is really kind-hearted. No wonder brother Huo is full of praise for you. Bei Shuang also smiled for the first time. Fellow Daoist, Ji's broad mind is admirable. Song Taishan and his wife were deeply moved and thanked him repeatedly. Ye Changsheng was embarrassed by the reactions of the crowd and waved his hand and said, don't be like this, it's just a small effort. Let's finish shopping quickly and go to Xiangang Pavilion to have a look. Everyone nodded and the atmosphere became more harmonious. Song Taishan and his wife bought the elixir they liked and the others also replenished some of the items they needed. When leaving Danding Pavilion, Ye Changsheng found that everyone looked at him with more friendliness and respect. He was secretly happy knowing that he had initially integrated into this small circle. Chapter 213 Shen Yufeng. On the way to Xiangang Pavilion, Huo Lai quietly said to Ye Changsheng, brother Ye, your performance today is great. I dare say that you have won everyone's favor. Ye Changsheng smiled modestly, I just did what I should do. By the way, what good things are there in Xiangang Pavilion? I'm really looking forward to it. Huo Lai mysteriously smiled and said, that's a lot. You'll know after a while. I dare say it will be an eye-opener for you. In the expectant eyes of everyone. The towering building of Chang'an Pavilion has appeared at the end of the line of sight. The 7 people walked into Chang'an Pavilion with anticipation. There are a dazzling array of magic weapons on display in the pavilion, each of which exudes an extraordinary aura. Everyone quickly found the items they were interested in and began to examine them carefully. Ye Changsheng was attracted by a treasure bow hanging on the wall. This bow is a deep dark green in color, with complex vine patterns carved on the bow, and golden light can be faintly seen flowing between the patterns. The bowstring is a slender silver wire, which looks weak, but is actually extremely tough. The whole bow exudes a simple and mysterious atmosphere, as if it contains infinite power. Ye Changsheng stretched out his hand to caress his body, and immediately felt a cool energy pouring into his body. He secretly marveled that this bow was worthy of being a 3rd level mid-grade magic weapon, and it was indeed of high quality. Just when he was about to ask about the price, a familiar figure came into view. It was a woman in a red dress, the same one Ye Changsheng had seen on the battlefield before. The woman also noticed this treasure bow, and a hint of surprise flashed in her eyes. She walked quickly and looked at the bow carefully. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and took the initiative to say, "Fairy, it seems that you are also interested in this bow." The woman in the red dress turned to look at Ye Changsheng, slightly surprised. "Is it you? We have met on the battlefield before." Ye Changsheng nodded. "I didn't expect to meet a fairy here. This bow is indeed extraordinary. If the fairy likes it, I won't argue with you." When the woman heard this, a hint of gratitude flashed in her eyes. "Thank you, fellow Taoist, for your kindness. However, we can take a look together, and we don't necessarily have to fight for it." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "The fairy is right. How about we ask about the price together?" The 2 were about to ask the clerk for questioning when Huo Lai and others also noticed what was going on here and came over one after another. Huo Lai smiled and said, "Brother Ye, it seems you have met an acquaintance." Ye Changsheng introduced, "I met this fairy on the battlefield, and I'm destined to meet again today." The woman in the red dress smiled slightly and nodded to everyone. "I met all of you fellow Taoists in Shen Yufeng." Everyone returned the gift one after another, and the atmosphere suddenly became harmonious. Shen Yufeng asked about the price of the bow, and learned that it required 800,000 spirit stones. She hesitated slightly, as if considering whether to buy it. Ye Changsheng saw her hesitation and said proactively, "Fairy Shen, if you really like this bow, you might as well buy it first. If the spirit stones are not enough, I can lend you some." Shen Yufeng looked at Ye Changsheng in surprise. "Fellow Taoist, we have only met for the 2nd time, and you are willing to lend me the spirit stone?" Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "In the world of cultivation, fate is rare. Since we are destined to meet each other, we should help each other." Shen Yufeng was moved by Ye Changsheng's sincerity and said gratefully, "Thank you fellow Taoist for your kindness, but it's not necessary this time. I can still afford to buy this bow." She turned to the clerk, happily paid for the spirit stones, and put the bow into her storage bag. Before leaving, Shen Yufeng said to Ye Changsheng, "Fellow Taoist, we felt like old friends. After we met today, why don't we exchange contact information? If there is an opportunity in the future, I will definitely repay your kindness today." Ye Changsheng readily agreed, and the 2 exchanged communication charms. When Huo Lai and others saw this scene, they all showed meaningful smiles. Bei Shuang even joked, "Fellow Daoist Ye, it seems that you not only harvested magic weapons here, but also made new friends." Ye Changsheng smiled sheepishly and said nothing more. Everyone wandered around Chang'an Pavilion for a while, and each bought some favorite magic weapons. When leaving, Ye Changsheng looked back, secretly noted this place in his mind, and decided to come back if he had the opportunity in the future. When we walked out of Chang'an Pavilion, the lanterns were already on. Everyone said goodbye to each other, agreed to meet again another day, and then returned to the cave. Ye Changsheng returned to his residence and recalled today's experience, feeling full of satisfaction in his heart. Not only did he integrate into the small circle of Huo Lai and others, he also made a new friend, Shen Yufeng. After resting for another 4 days, Ye Changsheng was summoned again by the Golden Light Fortress Command Center and set foot on the battlefield again. While the army of monsters on the opposite Side was still gathering. Ye Changsheng took a look at the crowd around him. Compared with 5 days ago, half of the foundation building monks had new faces, and 1/3 of the surrounding Zifu early stage monks had new faces. This shows the cruelty of the Golden Light Fortress war. Fortunately, Ye Changsheng felt calm after seeing Huo Lai, Beishuang, Shensen and others. The battle situation Ye Changsheng faced was more severe than last time. 6 third level low grade monsters appeared within his defense line, including 2 red flame foxes, 3 golden winged eagles, and a thunderhorn sheep. This lineup made Ye Changsheng feel nervous, knowing that this would be a difficult battle. The 2 red flame foxes were the first to rush toward Ye Changsheng. They were extremely fast, and their fiery red hair shone dangerously in the sun. Ye Changsheng immediately realized that it was difficult to deal with the attack of 2 monsters with just 1 flying sword. He decisively retracted the flying sword, and at the same time, he summoned the 12 mysterious swords. The 12 spiritual swords circled in the air, emitting sharp sword energy. Ye Changsheng controlled the spiritual sword, and started a fierce battle with the 2 red flame foxes. The red flame foxes' attacks were extremely fierce. They spewed out hot flames, and used their agility to constantly look for opportunities to break through Ye Changsheng's defense. Ye Changsheng dealt with it with full concentration. He divided the 12 mysterious swords into 2 groups, 1 for attack, and 1 for defense. But even so, he still felt great pressure. The red flame fox's flames broke through the defense of the spiritual sword several times, forcing Ye Changsheng to use the 5-element shield to resist. The battle lasted for 3 hours, and Ye Changsheng's forehead was already covered with sweat. He knew that he couldn't continue like this, and had to end the battle as soon as possible. At this moment, Ye Changsheng had a flash of inspiration and thought of a clever plan. He deliberately exposed a flaw to attract the 2 red flame foxes to attack at the same time. Just when the monster was about to succeed, Ye Changsheng suddenly activated the 12 mysterious light gathering spirit sword formation. The 12 spiritual swords instantly formed a mysterious formation, and the sword energy intertwined to form a huge sword net. The 2 red flame foxes were caught off guard and crashed directly into the sword net. The sword net shrank, and countless sword energy attacked from all directions, completely covering the 2 monsters. The red flame fox screamed miserably, but it was no longer possible to escape. Chapter 214 Killing 6 monsters. The sword energy fell like raindrops, quickly cutting the bodies of the 2 monster beasts into pieces. When the sword net dispersed, the 2 red flame foxes had turned into a pile of mincemeat, no longer alive. Ye Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief, but he knew that the battle was not over yet. He turned his head to look in the direction of the 9 3-legged fire crows, and found that the situation was not optimistic. Although the fire crows successfully killed the thunderhorn sheep, they fell into a hard fight against the 3 golden winged eagles. 1 fire crow has fallen down, and the rest are also injured. Ye Changsheng felt a pain in his heart and immediately rushed over. He controlled the 12 mysterious light swords, and rushed into the battlefield like a silver lightning bolt. The spirit sword drew a graceful arc in the air, accurately attacking the golden winged eagle's vitals. A golden winged eagle was caught off guard by Ye Changsheng's sudden addition, and was soon stabbed in the wing by the spiritual sword, losing its ability to fly. The remaining 2 golden winged eagles saw this, and wanted to escape, but it was too late. Ye Changsheng and the 8 fire crows formed a perfect coordination. The fire crows were responsible for harassment and containment, while Ye Changsheng was the main attacker. The 12 mysterious light swords were flying in the air, constantly giving fatal blows to the golden winged eagle. After a fierce battle, all 3 golden winged eagles were finally killed. When the last golden winged eagle fell, Ye Changsheng and the fire crows were exhausted. Ye Changsheng quickly took a 3rd level spiritual recovery pill in order to quickly restore his spiritual power. 8 3-legged fire crows protected him. After burning the incense, Ye Changsheng finally recovered 30% of his spiritual power. The army of monsters opposite him did not continue to send 3rd level low grade monsters over. Ye Changsheng stood up and looked at the other battle formations, and found that Huo Lai had already eliminated his opponent, and he had already taken care of an armored rhinoceros. But Beisu side is in danger. Her opponent is a cloud patterned tiger. This kind of monster is notoriously difficult to deal with, powerful and cunning. Huo Lai has already gone to help her, The cloud pattern tiger is not only powerful, but also extremely cunning. Even if Huo Li and Besu join forces, it will be difficult to deal with it. Ye Changsheng's heart tightened when he saw Huo Li and Besu in trouble. The cloud pattern tiger seemed to be playing tricks on them, which not only consumed their physical and spiritual energy, but also severely damaged their confidence. Ye Changsheng made a prompt decision and ordered the 8 3-legged fire crows. You continue to guard here, I will support Huo Li and the others. After saying that, he controlled the flying sword and flew towards the battlefield. When Ye Changsheng arrived, Huo Li and Besu already seemed a little powerless. The cloud pattern tiger's attack was fierce and fast, and the two had to defend with all their strength, without any chance to counterattack. Without saying a word, Ye Changsheng immediately took out the 12 mysterious light swords and formed a sword formation to attack the cloud pattern tiger. 12 spiritual swords hovered in the air, forming a silver light curtain. The cloud pattern tiger seemed to be aware of the danger. It stopped attacking Huo Li and Besu and instead stared at Ye Changsheng warily. Ye Changsheng seized this opportunity, and the 12 mysterious light sword instantly turned into 12 streams of light, attacking towards the cloud pattern tiger. The cloud pattern tiger reacted extremely quickly. It nimbly avoided the attack of the sword light, and at the same time, let out a deafening roar. The sound wave turned into a substantial attack and hit Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng was well prepared, and he quickly used the 5-element shield to resist the sonic attack. At the same time, Huo Li and Besu also seized the opportunity to launch a counterattack. Huo Li offered up a long red sword with blazing flames wrapped around it. Besu cast a frost spell in an attempt to freeze them. Where a tiger's movements, the three people's cooperation was flawless, and the cloud pattern tiger suddenly fell into a passive position. It had to be distracted to deal with attacks from 3 directions, making it difficult to display its full strength. When Ye Changsheng saw this, he felt happy and knew that victory was in sight. He shouted, Huo Li, Besu, join me in using the combined attack technique. Huo Li and Besu understood each other, and the three quickly adjusted their positions to form an equilateral triangle surrounding them, where a tiger in the middle. Ye Changsheng's 12 mysterious light swords hovered in the air, forming a huge sword formation. The fiery red flame sword energy intertwined with Besu's frost spell, forming a strange layered sky of ice and fire. The clouded tiger seemed to be aware of the danger. It let out a shrill howl and tried to break through the encirclement. But it was too late. The 3 attacks had already fallen at the same time. The 12 mysterious light swords poured down like a meteor shower, while the red flame sword energy and frost spells formed a huge energy vortex, engulfing the cloud pattern tiger. When the smoke and dust dispersed, the cloud pattern tiger had fallen to the ground, no longer alive. The 3 of them looked at each other and breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, Brother Changsheng, for your help, Huo Li said gratefully. If you hadn't arrived in time, Besu and I would have fallen into the hands of this beast. Besu also nodded to express his gratitude. Changsheng, your strength has improved again. The power of this 12 mysterious light sword is much stronger than the last time I saw it. Ye Changsheng smiled modestly. This is all thanks to the 2 of you. But now is not the time to reminisce about the past. Let's quickly recover and prepare for the next wave of attacks. Saying that, Ye Changsheng took out a 3rd level spirit recovery pill and drank it. He had just experienced 2 fierce battles, which consumed a huge amount of spiritual power and must be recovered as soon as possible. However, just as Ye Changsheng closed his eyes and adjusted his breath, he suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis. When he opened his eyes, he saw Shen Yufeng in the distance, being locked in a bitter battle. 2 3rd level. Mid-level monsters, a fire-feathered bird and a golden-winged eagle, are besieging her. The golden-winged eagle's defense is extremely strong, making it difficult for Shen Yufeng's attacks to be effective. The fire-feathered bird was completely immune to her fire spells, which put Shen Yufeng into an extremely disadvantageous situation. Ye Changsheng's heart tightened, and he immediately flew towards Shen Yufeng with the 12 mysterious light sword, regardless of Huo Li's obstruction. Changsheng, you have just experienced 2 battles, and your spiritual power has not been recovered yet. Huo Lai shouted from behind point, but Ye Changsheng no longer cares about that much point. He knew that if he were one step later, Shen Yufeng might fall to these two monsters. Ye Changsheng was flying while controlling the 12 mysterious light swords. When he approached the battlefield, he immediately launched a fierce attack. 12 spiritual swords cut through the sky like lightning, reaching straight for the golden winged eagle. The golden winged eagle obviously did not expect reinforcement to arrive. It had no time to escape in a hurry and was hit by Ye Changsheng's sword in the wing. Blood spurted out immediately and the golden winged eagle let out a shrill cry and was about to collapse. Shen Yufeng was overjoyed when she saw this. She took the opportunity to use a flaming whip and hit the golden winged eagle hard. The golden winged eagle was in pain, could no longer maintain its flight, and fell from the sky. However, the crisis was not resolved. Seeing that its companion was injured, the fire-feathered bird let out an angry cry. Its feathers were ignited with blazing fire, and it swooped towards Ye Changsheng and Shen Yufeng. When Ye Changsheng saw this, he immediately used the 5-element shield to protect himself, and Shen Yufeng. The fire-feathered bird's attack hit the 5-element shield, making a deafening roar. Yufeng, I'll contain it, and you can find an opportunity to give it a fatal blow. Chapter 215 Saving Shen Yufeng. Ye Changsheng shouted. Shen Yufeng nodded in agreement, and she began to gather her magic power, preparing to cast the most powerful spell. Ye Changsheng controlled the 12 Zhuanggang swords to deal with the fire feather bird. He divided the spirit swords into two groups, one for attack and one for defense. The fire feather bird's attack was extremely fierce, but Ye Changsheng's swordsmanship was more exquisite. He used defense as offense, constantly consuming the fire feather bird's physical strength. Finally, under Ye Changsheng's restraint, the fire feather bird revealed a flaw. Shen Yufeng seized the opportunity and sacrificed a huge flame spear, directly attacking the fire feather bird's vitals. Although the fire feather bird was immune to ordinary fire spells, Shen Yufeng's attack condensed all her magic power, and the power was far beyond ordinary. The flame spear penetrated the body of the fire feather bird, and it let out a wail and fell from the air. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng immediately controlled the 12 Zhuanggang swords to make up for it. The 12 spirit swords pierced into the body of the fire feather bird at the same time, completely ending its life. After the battle, Ye Changsheng and Shen Yufeng both sat on the ground exhausted. They smiled at each other and saw relief and gratitude in each other's eyes. Thank you for saving me, Changsheng. Shen Yufeng panted and said, if you hadn't arrived in time, I'm afraid I would have. Ye Changsheng waved his hand. Don't talk about this. We are companions, and it's right to help each other. But now we all need to take a good rest and recover our spiritual power. This battle is far from over. Shen Yufeng nodded, and the two began to close their eyes and regulate their breathing to prepare for the next battle. This time it seemed that the monster army suffered a heavy blow. Ye Changsheng and others waited until the evening, but did not wait for the monster reinforcement to arrive, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. After changing shifts with the monks who took over, they all walked down the city wall exhausted. As long as they survived one day, they could rest for another 5 days. When Ye Changsheng thought of this, he couldn't help but feel a little happier. Ye Changsheng returned to the cave, activated the formation, went to the bathroom to bathe his whole body, changed into new clothes, and began to retreat. Before retreating, Ye Changsheng released 8 3-legged fire crows in the monster pet room and fed them a 3rd level lower grade fire attribute monster pill. These were all exchanged by Ye Changsheng using the Lingayu pill, including the ones he had obtained. There were now 22 pills. After using 8, there were 14 left. Ye Changsheng's retreat lasted until the 3rd day. Ye Changsheng received another communication paper talisman in the morning. It turned out that Shen Yufeng invited him to participate in an exchange meeting. Invited by a beautiful woman, Ye Changsheng prepared happily and changed into new clothes. He looked more majestic. According to the identity jade card, Ye Changsheng found Shen Yufeng's cave. Ye Changsheng walked into Shen Yufeng's cave and was immediately shocked by the scene in front of him. As a cave dwelling of mid-stage purple mansion cultivator. It was indeed more magnificent than any cave dwelling he had ever seen. The most eye-catching thing was the vast garden, which covered a large area, with pavilions and towers scattered in an orderly manner, lush flowers and trees, and flowing water under small bridges, like a fairyland on Earth. When Shen Yufeng saw Ye Changsheng coming, she showed a happy smile on her face, and hurried to greet him. "Fellow Daoist Ye, you are here. That's great." She expressed her gratitude to Ye Changsheng again. "Thanks to your life-saving grace the day before yesterday, I haven't had time to thank you properly." Ye Changsheng waved his hand quickly. "Fairy Shen, you are too polite. It's just a small favor." Shen Yufeng smiled and said, "Fellow Daoist Ye is too polite. If you like anything in today's exchange meeting, just tell me, it's all mine." Ye Changsheng quickly declined. "How can this be? Fairy Shen is too polite." Just then, a slightly teasing voice came. "Oh, I didn't expect that Fairy Shen, one of the 10 great disciples of Zifu, the 5th level sect of the Chanyu sect in the great Korean immortal cultivation world, would also have a day to admire a man." Ye Changsheng was stunned when he heard the words, turned his head, and saw a female scholar in a lavender dress looking at them with a smile. Shen Yufeng blushed and scolded with a smile. "Zio Cui, what nonsense are you talking about?" It turned out that this female cultivator was Shen Yufeng's good friend and a disciple of the Chanyu sect. Ye Changsheng hurriedly explained. Misunderstanding. Fairy Shen just expressed her gratitude to me." Zio Cui blinked and said slyly, "Really? Then why did senior sister Shen blush?" Shen Yufeng glared at Zio Cui lightly, turned to Ye Changsheng and said, "Ignore her. Let's start the exchange meeting." As Shen Yufeng's voice fell, the exchange meeting officially began. The participating cultivators arrived one after another, and there were more than 30 people. It can be seen that Shen Yufeng has a strong appeal. Shen Yufeng stood in front of everyone and began to introduce the exchange items she brought. "My fellow Taoists, today I brought 3 3rd level elixirs and 2 3rd level magic weapons, hoping to exchange for 3rd level red flame gold ore." Shen Yufeng said, taking out 5 exquisite jade boxes from the storage bag. First, 3 kinds of pills. She opened the first jade box and saw 3 crystal clear pills lying inside, emitting a faint fragrance. "This is a 3rd level medium grade U0027 concentrating spirit pill U0027. After taking it, it can enhance the spiritual consciousness, which is very beneficial for cultivators who practice spiritual consciousness related exercises." Then, she opened the second jade box, and there were 3 light golden pills inside. "This is a 3rd level medium grade U0027 solidifying yuan pill U0027, which can stabilize the cultivation. For cultivators who have just broken through the realm, it is a rare treasure." The third jade box contained 3 red pills that exuded a faint flame. "This is a 3rd level medium grade U0027 fiery pill U0027. After taking it, it can enhance the fire attribute spiritual power in the body, which is extremely useful for cultivators who practice fire attribute exercises." After introducing the pills, Shen Yufeng took out 2 more magic weapons. These 2 magic weapons are the 3rd level medium grade U0027 mysterious ice mirror U0027 and the 3rd level medium grade U0027 fire cloud sword U0027. A crystal clear mirror appeared in her hand, and some ice flower patterns could be vaguely seen on the mirror surface. The mysterious ice mirror can not only launch ice attacks, but also rebound the enemy's attacks. It is a magic weapon with both offensive and defensive capabilities. Then, she took out a red long sword with a faint flame wrapped around it. The fire cloud sword is a pure offensive magic weapon with great power, especially suitable for cultivators who practice fire attributed techniques. After the introduction, Shen Yufeng looked around and asked, "I wonder if any of you Daoists are willing to exchange these elixirs or magic weapons with the 3rd level red flame gold ore?" She asked several times in a row, but no one responded. Several cultivators proposed to exchange with other items, but Shen Yufeng politely declined. Seeing that Shen Yufeng was about to return disappointed, Ye Changsheng suddenly said, Fairy Shen, I have the 3rd level red flame gold here. Shen. Yu Feng's eyes lit up, and she looked at Ye Changsheng happily. Really? That's great. What kind of elixir or magic weapon does Daoist want? Chapter 216 Exchange Meeting. Ye Changsheng shook his head. Fairy Shen misunderstood. I don't need these elixirs and magic weapons. I would like to ask, does Fairy Shen have the 3rd level fire type monster inner elixir? Shen. Yu Feng was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, yes, I happen to have some. But fellow Daoist Yi, this is what we agreed before. You don't have to exchange it for red flame gold. As she spoke, she took out a brocade box from her storage bag, and when she opened it, there were 12 inner elixirs that exuded a faint scent of fire. Ye Changsheng insisted. Fairy Shen, how embarrassing is this? Let's deal fairly. After speaking, he did not hesitate and took out 12 pieces of refined 3rd level red flame gold directly from the storage bag. Each piece exuded a faint golden light and seemed to be of extremely high quality. This scene stunned Shen Yufeng. She originally thought that it would take at least several months to collect so much red flame gold, but she didn't expect that Ye Changsheng took out so much at once, and it was refined. You must know that the red flame gold is a 3rd level high grade spiritual gold. The value of this red flame gold far exceeds the inner elixirs of monsters she gave her. Fellow Daoist Yi, this is too much. Shen Yufeng was a little at a loss. Ye Changsheng, however, couldn't help but stuff the red flame gold directly into Shen Yufeng's arms. This intimate gesture made Shen Yufeng's face turn red instantly, and she didn't know what to do for a moment. When the monks around him saw this, they immediately started cheering. Oh, Fairy Shen is blushing. It seems that this fellow Daoist knows how to please girls. Fairy Shen, don't be shy. Everyone is watching. Shen Yufeng was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl in, but she couldn't get angry. She could only glare at Ye Changsheng with a red face and whispered, what are you doing? Ye Changsheng, however, had a serious expression on his face. Fairy Shen, you are too outsider. You regard me as a good friend. How can I not help my good friend when he is in trouble? Although these red flame golds are precious, I still have some here. Some sundries are not worthy of our invitation, so just accept them. Shen Yufeng was moved by Ye Changsheng's sincerity and finally accepted the red flame gold. She took a deep breath, calmed down, and said to Ye Changsheng, in this case, I will be disrespectful. Thank you, fellow Daoist Yi. After Shen Yufeng showed off his treasure, another middle-aged monk wearing a blue robe stood up. With a smile on his face, he bowed to everyone and began to introduce the treasures he had brought. My dear Ye Changsheng, today I brought 3 3rd level magic weapons and 1 3rd level elixir. I hope to exchange them for some 3rd level spiritual stones or techniques suitable for monks at the Zifu stage. Ye Changsheng said, taking out 4 jade boxes from the storage bag. He opened the first jade box first, and inside was a long sword that was all green. This is the 3rd level mid-grade King Feng sword U0027. The sword body contains wind attribute spiritual power. When it is swung, it can produce a powerful wind blade with extremely strong attack power. Then he opened the second jade box and took out a simple bronze mirror. This is a 3rd level medium grade demon mirror U0027. It can reveal the true form of demons and ghosts. It is very helpful in seeing through the enemy's disguise. The 3rd jade box contains a small jade bottle. This is the 3rd level top grade U0027 5 element escape talisman U0027. It allows the user to gain the ability to escape from the 5 element in a short period of time, which is a good thing for escaping and saving lives. In the last jade box is a pill that exudes a faint medicinal fragrance. This is the 3rd order high grade Yuan Ningdan U0027. It can help the monks in the later stages of the Zifu stabilize their realm and prepare for the attack on the Taoist court. After the introduction, Ye Changsheng looked around and asked if anyone was interested. Soon several monks came forward to bargain and exchange with him. Next, many monks came on stage one after another to show off their treasures. Some people brought out rare elixirs, some displayed unique magic weapons, and some provided rare secrets of martial arts. The entire swap meet was lively, filled with the sounds of haggling and excited exclamations just as the exchange meeting was in full swing. A cold-faced male cultivator in purple robe slowly walked forward. His appearance immediately attracted everyone's attention, because the aura exuding from him was obviously stronger than most people present. The purple-robed monk looked around and said coldly, "I have a treasure that I would like to exchange with you." As he spoke, he took out an exquisite jade box from his storage bag. When he opened the jade box, a fresh breath suddenly filled the air. I saw a green branch about 3 inches long lying in the jade box, with a few green leaves on the branch, which looked full of vitality. "This is a branch of a 4th level spiritual plant, willow branch," the purple-robed monk said calmly. "You must all know how precious it is." As soon as this statement came out, everyone present was in an uproar. As a 4th level spiritual plant, willow branches are far more precious than most people present imagine. Not only can it secrete willow spiritual dew, it is also a treasure coveted by monks. Willow spirit dew has miraculous effects and can effectively counteract the pollution to the monks' souls caused by long-term battles with monsters. For those monks who often fight with monsters, this is simply a priceless treasure. Not only that, willow spirit dew can also strengthen the soul, which is extremely attractive to monks who practice spiritual consciousness techniques. Because of this, Yangliulinglu is known as the best among the 4th order high-grade spiritual water, and its value is inestimable. And willow branches that can continuously produce willow dew are naturally extremely precious. However, this branch must produce very little spiritual dew, so it is definitely not a 4th level treasure, but a 3rd level treasure at most, so it was brought here for exchange. When Ye Changsheng heard the name of Yangliuzhi, he immediately became interested. He quickly stepped forward and carefully observed the branch. After careful inspection, he was pleasantly surprised to find that this branch still retains its vitality. If properly cultivated, it is likely to grow into a complete willow tree in the future. This discovery made Ye Changsheng excited. He took a deep breath, calmed down, and then asked, "I wonder what you want to exchange for this willow branch?" The purple-robed monk glanced at Ye Changsheng coldly and said, "I need a pill that can break through the bottleneck of the middle stage of Zifu." Ye Changsheng couldn't help but smile when he heard this. He thought of the pills he had purchased in Xiangang before, and among them happened to be the Yuchen pill, suitable for breaking through the middle stage of Zifu. "Fellow Taoist, we are destined," Ye Changsheng said, taking out a jade bottle from the storage bag. "Here is a jade chundan, which is a high-grade elixir used to break through the bottleneck of the Zifu in the middle period." When the purple-robed monk heard this, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. He took the jade bottle and inspected it carefully. After confirming that it was correct, a smile finally appeared on his face. "Okay, let's swap," the purple-robed monk said as he handed the jade box containing willow branches to Ye Changsheng. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217, 4th Order Willow Tree. Ye Changsheng took the jade box and carefully put it into the storage bag. He was secretly happy because he didn't expect such an unexpected harvest from this exchange meeting. After the exchange was completed, the purple-robed monk couldn't wait to open the jade bottle and carefully looked at the elixir inside. When he confirmed that this was indeed the real Chundan, a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. He nodded slightly to Ye Changsheng and then quickly left the exchange meeting, obviously eager to find a quiet place to take the elixir to break through the bottleneck. This scene was seen by the surrounding monks, and they couldn't help but cast surprised and envious glances at Ye Changsheng. Someone who can take out so many high-quality precious elixirs such as Red Flame Gold and Yuchen Pill at once is obviously not an ordinary monk. 4. A time, speculation about Ye Changsheng's identity quietly spread among the crowd. As the exchange meeting progressed to the middle, it was finally Ye Changsheng's turn to take the stage to show off his treasures. He slowly walked up to the high platform and saluted everyone with a smile on his face. "Zai Changsheng, today I brought some spiritual gold and elixirs. I hope to exchange some rare spiritual plants or other treasures with you fellow Taoists." As he spoke. Ye Changsheng took out 10 jade boxes and 2 jade vases from his storage bag and placed them neatly on the table in front of him. He first opened 10 jade boxes, which revealed 10 different third level spiritual golds, each weighing about 2 kilograms. These 10 types of spiritual gold are black ice silver, thunder copper, wind spirit iron, earth core gold, Xiangang gold, wood spirit bronze, crystal silver, purple lightning gold, black gold and red flame gold. Each is a third level top grade spiritual gold, high quality. As soon as Ye Changsheng finished speaking, there was an exclamation from the audience. Being able to produce so many types of third level spiritual gold at once, each weighing 2 kilograms, is truly shocking. Then, Ye Changsheng opened 2 more jade bottles. This is the spiritual healing pill. There are 20 pills in total. It can cure the injuries of monks in the middle stage of Zifu. He pointed to one of the jade bottles and said, "And this jade bottle contains Yuchen pill, a total of 2 pills, which can help monks in the middle stage of Zifu break through bottlenecks." As soon as these words came out, there was a sudden gasp of air from the audience. Lingayu pill and Yuchen pill are both extremely precious pills, especially Yuchen pill, which is a treasure coveted by many monks in the middle period of Zifu. Ye Changsheng looked around and continued, "These treasures can be exchanged for fire attribute demon pills, or other treasures that I think are worth exchanging. However, I personally prefer spiritual plants, spiritual fruits and their seeds. If there are such treasures can be given priority." As soon as he finished speaking, the audience immediately became excited. Many monks began to rummage through their storage bags, hoping to find some treasures that met Ye Changsheng's requirements. Soon, the first monk came onto the stage. He took out 3 third level fire attribute demon pills, hoping to exchange them for 2 spiritual healing pills. Ye Changsheng readily agreed, and the 2 parties quickly completed the transaction. The second monk also exchanged 3 third level fire attribute demon pills for a pound of mysterious gold. The third monk paid the same price for the other 2 spiritual healing pills. Just when Ye Changsheng thought that the next transaction might be similar, the appearance of the fourth monk made his eyes light up. This was a middle-aged man in a grey robe. He took out an exquisite jade box and opened it carefully. "Fellow Daoist Ye, I have 3 4th grade top grade 10,000-year-old purple blood ginseng seeds here. I wonder if I can exchange them for 1 Yuchen pill." When Ye Changsheng heard this, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. 10,000 years purple blood ginseng is a main ingredient in refining Daoting Dan and is extremely valuable. With these 3 seeds, it means that the refining of Daoting Dan has been more than half successful. He suppressed the excitement in his heart and pretended to be calm and said, "Okay, let's exchange." With that said, Ye Changsheng handed a jade pure pill to the other party and at the same time carefully took the jade box containing the purple blood ginseng seeds. After the transaction was completed, there was another exclamation in the audience. No one expected that Ye Changsheng would exchange 1 Yuchen pill for 3 seeds of a 4th level high grade spiritual plant. The value of Yuchen is quite high. In the subsequent transactions, there was basically nothing left that Ye Changsheng could take a fancy to. More than a dozen monks came on stage to display treasures, but none of them aroused Ye Changsheng's interest. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng walked off the stage. He was secretly happy that the harvest from this exchange meeting far exceeded expectations. Not only were some spiritual gold and elixirs exchanged, but also precious 10,000-year-old purple blood ginseng seeds were obtained. After walking off the stage, Ye Changsheng found a quiet corner to sit down and began to sort out the harvest. Just then, a familiar voice came. "Fellow Daoist Ye, I didn't expect you to have so many good things." Ye Changsheng looked up and saw that it was Shen Yufeng. "Fairy Shen, thank you very much." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "I just happen to have some inventory. Fairy Shen, we are friends. If you need it, you can always tell me, and I will exchange it with you at any time." When Shen Yufeng heard this, a smile appeared on her face. "You're welcome, fellow Daoist Ye. I will come to you in exchange for the fire attribute demon pills when I have accumulated enough." Later, more than a dozen monks came on stage to exchange treasures, but none of them were interested in Ye Changsheng. So Ye Changsheng did not take action. After the exchange meeting, the other monks left one after another, leaving only Ye Changsheng and Shen Yufeng. Shen Yufeng said with some embarrassment, "Fellow Daoist Ye, thank you very much for today. I wonder what your plans are next. If it's convenient, why not stay for a cup of tea?" Ye Changsheng smiled and nodded in agreement. It is my honor to have tea and discuss with Fairy Shen. So, the two sat opposite each other, drinking tea and discussing. Before they knew it, it was already late. Ye Changsheng then stood up and said goodbye. Shen Yufeng sent him to the door of the cave and said goodbye reluctantly. Looking at Ye Changsheng's departing back, Shen Yufeng felt a little strange in her heart. She shook her head, suppressed this feeling, and turned back to the cave. After Ye Changsheng returned to his retreat, he came to the fairy tree space with a thought. He looked around and looked at this vibrant world with satisfaction. The air was filled with rich spiritual energy, and all kinds of exotic flowers and plants thrived in the spiritual soil. He took out the willow branch from the storage bag and held it carefully in his hand. Although this branch was only the length of a palm, the faint spiritual light it emitted made people dare not underestimate it. Ye Changsheng gently stroked the smooth surface of the branch. Feeling the powerful vitality contained in it, he chose an open place and dug a small hole in the spiritual soil with his fingers. He inserted the willow branch vertically into it and filled it with spiritual soil. After doing this, Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and took out the last drop of the 4th level fairy dew from his arms. This drop of fairy dew was crystal clear and emitted a faint halo, as if it contained the vitality of the whole world. Ye Changsheng carefully dripped the fairy dew on the willow branch, then held his breath and waited for a miracle to happen. Chapter 218 Willow Spirit Dew. As soon as the fairy dew touched the willow branch, it was immediately absorbed. In an instant, the entire branch seemed to be injected with new life and began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. First, the root system. Countless tiny roots extended from the bottom of the branch and quickly penetrated into the spiritual soil. Then, the branch began to sprout, and new branches and leaves grew at an astonishing speed. In just a few breaths, a 5 or 6 meter tall willow tree rose from the ground in front of him. This willow tree exudes a faint silver light throughout the body, and the branches are light and soft, swaying in the wind, like an elf in a fairyland. Each leaf is crystal clear, as if carved from the finest jade. The most eye-catching are the branches, which are not drooping like ordinary willows, but slightly tilted upwards, forming a graceful arc. The surface of the branches flickers with a faint light, as if countless tiny stars are flowing in at. Ye Changsheng reached out and gently stroked the trunk, and could feel the powerful vitality contained in it. At this moment, he noticed that light dew began to condense on the branches and leaves of the willow tree. These dewdrops were not ordinary water drops, but spiritual dew emitting a faint spiritual light. Ye Changsheng's eyes lit up, and he immediately realized that this was the legendary willow spiritual dew. He waved his hand lightly and used his magic power to gather the spiritual dew on all the branches and leaves. These spiritual dews gathered into a crystal clear water drop in the air, emitting a faint fragrance. Ye Changsheng carefully took the drop of spiritual dew in his palm and looked at it carefully. This willow spiritual dew is really extraordinary. Just looking at it makes people feel relaxed and happy. Ye Changsheng secretly exclaimed. He estimated that this willow tree can condense about 1,000 drops of spiritual dew every day, which is equivalent to a whole bottle. This output is already quite considerable. With excitement, Ye Changsheng decided to try the effect of this willow spiritual dew himself. He carefully placed the drop of spiritual dew on the tip of his tongue. In an instant, a cool and refreshing feeling spread from the tip of his tongue and quickly spread throughout his body. Ye Changsheng felt that every cell in his body was awakened, and the fatigue accumulated from fighting monsters in the past few days was instantly swept away. He felt refreshed and energetic, as if he had been reborn. What surprised Ye Changsheng even more was that a burst of joy came from the depths of his soul. He immediately understood that this was because the Yangliu Linglu not only cleansed his soul, but also nourished it. This feeling was like a long drought and a sweet rain, making his soul clearer and stronger. I didn't expect this Yangliu Linglu to be so magical, Ye Changsheng exclaimed. Not only can it restore physical strength, but it can also nourish the soul. This is simply a treasure for cultivators. He stood under the willow tree, closed his eyes, and felt the changes in his body as the effect of the Yangliu Linglu gradually took effect. He felt that his cultivation seemed to have improved subtly. Although this improvement was very subtle, for cultivators who have reached the Purple Mansion realm, any progress is precious after that. Ye Changsheng took care of his fairy tree space and came out. After taking a lingang fruit, he meditated and practiced to refine the medicinal power. 3 days later, Ye Changsheng received another paper talisman from Huali. Ye Changsheng was called out by Huali, who came in high spirits. Huali's face was full of excitement, and his eyes were shining with anticipation. Brother, Ye, you have to come with me to see. The center of Jingyan Fortress is very lively today. Huali pulled Ye Changsheng's sleeve and said impatiently, "Oh, what happened, Ye?" Changsheng asked curiously. Huali smiled mysteriously. "There is a fighting competition called U-0,027 Dragon and Tiger Fight U-0,027, which is said to be very exciting. Not only can you watch the masters fight, but you can also bet on the spot and bet on your favorite players. This is a rare opportunity, Ye." Changsheng was infected by Huala's enthusiasm and became interested. "In that case, let's go and see." The two walked out of the cave and came to the center of Jingyan Fortress from a distance. Ye Changsheng heard the noise of people, and it was obvious that a fierce fight was going on there. When they squeezed into the crowd, Ye Changsheng's eyes were immediately attracted by a figure in the field. It was a woman in a black dress who was fighting fiercely with her opponent. Ye Changsheng's breathing could not help but stagnate. The woman was extremely beautiful, with skin as white as snow and eyebrows as beautiful as paintings. Every movement of hers was full of elegance and strength, like a black rose blooming on the battlefield. Looking at that beautiful face, Ye Changsheng felt a throbbing feeling for the first time in his life. His heartbeat suddenly accelerated, as if a butterfly fluttered its wings in his chest. The feeling was both strange and wonderful, making him want to get closer involuntarily, but afraid of disturbing this beauty. He couldn't take his eyes off the woman, as if the whole world had become alive because of her. This feeling of first love made Ye Changsheng a little at a loss, but he was happy with it. Huoli noticed Ye Changsheng's abnormality, followed his gaze, and smiled knowingly. "Brother, Ye, are you also fascinated by her?" Ye Changsheng came back to his senses and coughed awkwardly. "Who is this girl?" Li introduced. "Her name is King Lion Hong, and she is one of the top 3 beautiful female cultivators in Jingyan Fortress. But this woman has a cold temper and ignores everyone. She often comes to participate in the competition and wins most of the time, so she is also a celebrity here." Ye Changsheng nodded, and his eyes unconsciously returned to King Lion Hong. King Lion Hong was fighting fiercely with her opponent. Her opponent was a burly male cultivator. The burly male cultivator roared, and his aura surged. A powerful spiritual power surged from his body and turned into a golden light that wrapped his whole body. The giant axe in his hand instantly became extremely huge, several feet long, and lightning flashed on the axe blade. "Look at my heaven and earth slash!" the burly male cultivator shouted, and the giant axe chopped towards King Lion Hong with the power of destroying the world. King Lion Hong's expression did not change. With a wave of her slender jade hand, a green light curtain appeared out of thin air and blocked in front of her. At the same time, she uttered a fairy sound. "Green lotus, protect the body." The green light curtain instantly turned into countless green lotus petals, flying and circling in the air, forming an indestructible barrier. Boom! The giant axe chopped heavily on the green lotus barrier, making a loud sound that shook the earth. However, the seemingly fragile petal barrier did not move at all, but instead rebounded all the power of the giant axe. The burly male cultivator was pushed back several steps by the recoil force, with an incredible expression on his face. King Lion Hong took the opportunity to attack, tapped the void with his jade finger, and shouted, "10,000 swords return to the sect." In an instant, countless sword ki appeared out of thin air between heaven and earth and shot towards the burly male cultivator like raindrops. Those sword ki seemed illusory, but they contained infinite power, and the void was torn apart wherever they passed. The burly male cultivator was shocked and quickly waved the giant axe to resist. Chapter 219. First meeting with a beauty. However, those sword energies were too dense, and even if he tried his best, he could not completely resist them. Soon, his body was covered with large and small wounds, bleeding profusely. How is this possible? The burly male cultivator looked at King Lionhang in disbelief, as if he was meeting this opponent for the first time. Although he won the battle, King Lionhang's victory seemed a bit reluctant. Her face was slightly pale and her breathing was somewhat rapid. It was obvious that this battle had consumed a lot of her energy. At this moment, the host announced King Lionhang's next opponent, a famous monk named King Bear. King is a monk known for his physical strength. He has won 10 games in a row and is very powerful. Upon hearing the news, the audience suddenly became excited. Now, there's something good to watch. King Xiang has won 10 games in a row. King Lionhang will probably suffer a loss. Yeah, the competition just now was a bit difficult. I'm afraid I'm going to lose this time. Everyone was talking about it, and most people were optimistic about the Bear King. Soon, the gambling begins. The odds of winning by pressing Bear King are 2-1, while the odds of winning by pressing King Lionhang are 1-2. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. I bet on King Lionhang to win. Everyone followed the sound and saw Ye Changsheng standing there with a firm expression. I bet 200,000 spirit stones, all in King Lionhang to win. Ye Changsheng said loudly. This announcement immediately caused an uproar. 200,000 spiritual stones is not a small amount, and it is all on the disadvantaged side. Everyone thought that Ye Changsheng was crazy or a fool who didn't understand the world. Huo Lai was also startled and hurriedly pulled Ye Changsheng's sleeve. Brother Ye, are you crazy? King Lionhang's fight just now was already very difficult. This time against the Bear King, the chance of winning is very small. Ye Changsheng smiled and shook his head. I believe her. His eyes fell on King Lionhang, with a strange light shining in his eyes. I can see that she still has some strength left. She didn't use her full strength in the fight just now. Huo Lai wanted to persuade him again, but Ye Changsheng had already walked to the place where the beds were placed. His actions attracted the attention of many people, including King Lionhang in the field. King Lionhang frowned slightly, and her eyes stayed on Ye Changsheng for a moment. Although it was just a glance, Ye Changsheng felt that his heartbeat had accelerated a bit. This young man, King Lionhang suddenly spoke with a cold voice. Are you sure you want to bet on me to win? Ye Changsheng smiled and nodded. Of course. I believe in the fairy's strength. King Lionhang said nothing more, just nodded slightly, turned around and prepared to fight. Ye Changsheng's actions aroused everyone's discussion. Some people think he is a fool, others think he may know something inside. Regardless, the fight suddenly became more compelling. With the host's order, the battle between King Lionhang and the Bear King officially began. Everyone held their breath, waiting for this exciting showdown. Ye Changsheng, on the other hand, stared intently at King Lionhang in the field, secretly cheering for her in his heart. At this moment, he suddenly felt that no matter what the result was, just being able to see King Lionhang's wonderful performance would make the 200,000 spirit stones worth it. With the host's order, the battle between King Lionhang and the Bear King officially began. The Bear King roared, his muscles all over his body surged, and he rushed towards King Lionhang like a hill. Every step he took made the ground tremble. King Lionhang was like a light feather, dodging the Bear King's attack with ease. The Bear King wields a huge hammer, and every blow is accompanied by the sound of roaring wind. King Lionhang uses softness to overcome strength. Her movements are like flowing clouds and flowing water, and she can move freely through the attacks of the Bear King. Although her counterattacks seemed gentle, they always hit the Bear King's vitals. As the battle progressed to a fever pitch, the Bear King suddenly burst out with an astonishing momentum. His body began to deform, and he actually turned into a huge black bear. This black bear was 3 times larger than an ordinary bear. It opened its bloody mouth and rushed towards King Lionhang. Faced with this sudden change, King Lionhang did not panic. Her hands formed a seal, and streaks of cyan light circulated around her. With a soft drink from her, the light condensed into a long cyan sword. King Lionhang held a long sword and started a fierce fight with the opponent, who turned into a black bear. The light of the sword is like a rainbow, and the claws of the bear are like lightning. The two of them are going back and forth, fighting inextricably. At this moment, King Lionheart suddenly took a few steps back. A trace of determination flashed in her eyes. She bit the tip of her tongue and sprayed a mouthful of blood on the sword point. The long sword suddenly turned blood red and exuded a heart-stopping aura. Forbidden technique. Blood refined sword. King Lionheart shouted lowly, and the long sword in his hand instantly turned into thousands of sword shadows surrounding the Bear King point. Although the Bear King is huge, he looks extremely clumsy under this airtight sword net. Finally, with a scream, the Bear King fell to the ground and returned to his human form. King Lionheart won, but her face became extremely pale, and she obviously suffered serious internal injuries. Ye Changsheng ignored Huo Lai's praise for his precise vision and rushed directly to the rest area. He came to King Lionheart and asked with concern, "Fairy, are you okay?" King Lionheart looked up at him and said calmly, "It's okay, it's just a minor injury." Ye Changsheng didn't believe it. He could see that King Lionheart's breathing was a little rapid, and it was obvious that she was seriously injured. He hesitated for a moment and said, "Fairy, I have a healing pill here, called Lingayu pill. Although it is not a precious thing, it is quite effective for internal injuries. I wonder if the fairy is willing to give it a try." King Lionheart frowned slightly. When she heard this, she looked at Ye Changsheng for a few times, as if judging his intentions. Finally, she sighed and said, "Since you are so kind, I will be disrespectful to refuse. However, I will remember this kindness and will repay you generously in the future." Ye Changsheng waved his hand quickly. "Fairy, you are too kind. This is just a piece of cake." As he said, he took out a crystal clear pill from the storage bag and handed it to King Lionheart. King Lionheart took the pill, hesitated for a moment, and swallowed it. After 3 incense sticks, King Lionheart's complexion improved significantly. She stood up, nodded slightly to Ye Changsheng, and walked towards the arena again. This time, the odds of betting on King Lionheart's victory became 1-to-1. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment and bet another 200,000 spirit stones on King Lionheart. Huo Lai was stunned. "Brother Ye, you are going to pay back all the money you just won?" Ye Changsheng smiled but said nothing. He knew that King Lionheart would probably lose this time. Although she took the Lingayu pill, King Lionheart's injuries were obviously not fully recovered. If it wasn't an emergency, she wouldn't easily accept a stranger's pill with her personality. Sure enough, King Lionheart was obviously unable to do this competition. Chapter 220 Beauty 039 S Heart. Her opponent was a calm old man, whose moves seemed ordinary, but actually contained murderous intent. Not long after, King Lionheart was hit in the chest by a palm and flew backwards. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng immediately rushed forward to help King Lionheart up. King Lionheart leaned in his arms, panting slightly, obviously injured. "Fairy, are you okay?" Ye Changsheng asked worriedly. King Lionheart shook her head and barely stood up. She sat cross-legged on the ground and began to regulate her breathing. Ye Changsheng stood by until King Lionheart opened her eyes. He hesitated for a moment and said, "Fairy, why don't you let me take you back to the cave?" King Lionheart looked up at him, as if thinking about this proposal. Finally, she nodded gently. Huo Lai saw this scene from the side and winked at Ye Changsheng with an expression that said, "You kid has a chance." Ye Changsheng glared at him helplessly and motioned him to leave quickly. In this way, Ye Changsheng supported King Lionheart and slowly left the arena. Along the way, neither of them spoke. Ye Changsheng could feel that King Lionheart's body was still trembling slightly, and it was obvious that the injury was not light. When he came to King Lionheart's cave, Ye Changsheng was about to say goodbye, but heard King Lionheart whispered, "Thank you for seeing me off. King Lionheart is so enthusiastic to help others, and I'm grateful. I wonder if you would like to come in for a cup of tea." Ye Changsheng was stunned for a moment, and then nodded happily. He followed King Lionheart into the cave and couldn't help sighing in his heart that this cold fairy didn't seem to be as unapproachable as she looked. In King Lionheart's cave, the two drank tea and chatted. "Fairy, why are you so desperate to participate in the competition? Like, you have suffered a lot of injuries this time, which is not good for your cultivation at all." Ye Changsheng asked. King Lionheart took a sip of tea, frowned slightly, and seemed to be thinking about how to speak. King Lion Hong took a deep breath. To be honest, I have been stagnant in the middle stage of the Purple Mansion for many years. I have never had enough spirit stones to buy the elixir needed for promotion. Ye Changsheng was a little surprised. Fairy has been stationed in the Golden Light Fortress for many years. Aren't the resources obtained by hunting monsters enough, King? Lion Hong smiled bitterly and shook his head. My family's residence was breached in the early years, and the whole family had to make a living in the market. Every month I need to send back a large amount of spirit stones to support my family's livelihood. Hearing this, Ye Changsheng felt a pang of pain in his heart. He didn't expect that this seemingly cold fairy had such a heavy burden behind her. Without thinking, Ye Changsheng took out a crystal clear elixir from the storage ring. Fairy, this is a Jade Deo pill. Please accept it, King. Lion Hong widened his eyes and looked at the elixir in Ye Changsheng's hand in disbelief. How can this be? The price of the Jade Deo pill has been raised to 2 million spirit stones each. How can I accept such a valuable thing? Ye Changsheng smiled and handed the pill to King Lion Hong. Fairy, don't refuse. I never take back what I give away. If the fairy insists on not accepting it, I will have to throw it on the street. King Lion Hong hesitated for a long time and finally reached out to take the pill. Her eyes flashed with complex emotions. Mr. Ye, I don't know how to thank you. When I'm promoted to the late stage of the Purple Mansion, I will definitely repay some spirit stones. Ye Changsheng waved his hand. Fairy, it's important to recuperate now. Don't think about these, King. Lion Hong finally looked at Ye Changsheng with a hint of tenderness. Ye Changsheng sighed in his heart that this woman was not born indifferent, but was forced by the cruel reality. He couldn't help but feel a little pity for her. The two chatted for a long time, and the topic ranged from the cultivation of the heart to the life insights, and then to their own experiences. King Lion Hong gradually let down her guard, and her words became more relaxed and lively. Ye Changsheng also took this opportunity to get to know this mysterious fairy more deeply. Before he knew it, it was getting late. Ye Changsheng stood up and said goodbye. It's getting late. I should go back, King. Lion Hong nodded. I'll take you out. Arriving at the entrance of the cave, the two exchanged contact information. Ye Changsheng reluctantly said, Fairy, if you need any help, just tell me, King. Lion Hong smiled slightly. Thank you, sir. She paused, as if hesitating about something, and finally said, Young Master Ye, King Lion Hong will remember what you did today. If there is a chance in the future, I will definitely repay you. Ye Changsheng shook his head and smiled. Fairy, you are too kind. It is my honor to make a friend like you, King. Lion Hong lowered her head, and a blush appeared on her face. She seemed to have noticed Ye Changsheng's feelings for her, and was a little flustered for a while. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng's heart moved. He whispered, Fairy, we'll see you later, King. Lion Hong raised her head. A trace of reluctance flashed in her eyes, but she soon regained her composure. She nodded gently. See you later. Looking at Ye Changsheng's gradually receding back, King Lion Hong felt a strange feeling in her heart. She felt that this young man might bring some changes to her life. Ye Changsheng walked back, replaying every bit of his time with King Lion Hong in his mind. He secretly made up his mind that no matter what, he would help this strong and fragile woman. In this way, the fate of the two people quietly intertwined on this extraordinary night. In a blink of an eye, it was the day for Ye Changsheng to guard the city wall again. That day, Ye Changsheng came to the city wall early and released 8 3-legged golden crows to prepare for the upcoming army of monsters. However, when the army of monsters approached the city wall, Ye Changsheng's face suddenly changed. I saw 4 huge 3rd-level middle-grade monsters falling from the sky and rushing towards him. They were a golden-winged eagle, 2 red-crowned cranes and a black crow, each of which exuded a powerful breath that made people's heart palpitate. These shameless monsters, 4 against 1. Ye Changsheng cursed in his heart and quickly offered the 5-element shield to resist. However, he underestimated the strength of these monsters. The golden-winged eagle swooped down, and its sharp claws easily tore the 5-element shield. Ye Changsheng only felt a sharp pain, and the claw marks swept across his body. Fortunately, the protective robe star robe played a role in time and barely blocked this fatal blow. Otherwise, he might have been torn in half. Ye Changsheng's heart trembled, knowing that the situation was not good. He immediately summoned the 3rd level ancient treasure Yufeng wings and used it with all his strength, flying away from the battlefield like an arrow. Seeing Ye Changsheng escape, the 4 3rd level middle grade monsters immediately turned their attention to the 8 3-legged fire crows. Although the fire crows were flexible in flying, they could not hold out for too long in the face of a siege of 4 powerful monsters. Ye Changsheng watched from afar, weighing the pros and cons in his mind. If he did not continue to expose his trump card, the 8 3-legged fire crows would probably die, and he himself would not be able to escape the blame of the Daewon Zeuxan alliance. After thinking for a moment, Ye Changsheng gritted his teeth and decided to fight with all his strength. Chapter 221 Golden Light Society. He summoned the 12 mysterious light swords, gathered them together, and instantly condensed them into an extremely sharp 3rd level magic sword. Ye Changsheng activated the wind controlling wings again, and appeared above the head of the golden winged eagle like lightning. Taking advantage of his unpreparedness, he swung the Zhuanggang sword, and chopped off the head of the golden winged eagle with one strike. Blood spurted out, and the golden winged eagle's huge body suddenly fell. When the other 2 red-crowned cranes and black crows saw this scene, they became furious and launched fierce attacks on Ye Changsheng. Seeing that something was not going well, Ye Changsheng immediately summoned the 3rd level ancient treasure Zhuanshan shield and activated the all-round defense mode. Although the attacks of the 3 big demons were fierce, they were unable to break through the Zhuanshan shield's defense. At the same time, Ye Changsheng's spiritual thoughts controlled the Zhuanggang sword, and he continued to use sword techniques to fight back against the 3 monsters. The sharp sword energy drew streaks of cold light in the air, leaving deep wounds visible on the monster beast's body from time to time. Seeing that Ye Changsheng had returned to support, the 8 3-legged fire crows also cheered up and cooperated with Ye Changsheng to launch an attack on the monster. They spit out blazing flames and constantly harass the monsters, creating opportunities for Ye Changsheng. In this melee, Ye Changsheng focused his attention on the black crow. Although this black crow is small in size, it is extremely fast and constantly attacks Ye Changsheng's defense with its sharp beak and sharp claws. Ye Changsheng observed that every time the black crow launched an attack, there would be a momentary pause. Seizing this opportunity, Ye Changsheng controlled the Zhuanggang sword, suddenly changed direction after the black crow dived to attack, and hit the vital part on the back of his neck. Black crow was caught off guard and was penetrated by the Zhuanggang sword. It let out a shrill scream, its body twitched a few times in the air, and then fell to the city wall. After killing the black crow, Ye Changsheng pursued the victory and cooperated with the 3-legged fire crow to attack the remaining 2 red-crowned cranes. Although the red-crowned crane is powerful, it gradually falls into disadvantage due to numerical disadvantage. The moment Ye Changsheng caught one of the red-crowned cranes and revealed its flaw, the Zhuanggang sword pierced its chest like lightning. The other red-crowned crane finally showed a look of horror when he saw his companions falling one after another. It struggled desperately to escape, but was already surrounded by Ye Changsheng and the 3-legged fire crow. After a fierce fight, the red-crowned crane could not escape its fate and was beheaded by Ye Changsheng with a sword. After the battle, Ye Changsheng stood on the city wall panting and covered in blood. He looked around and saw corpses and blood of monsters everywhere on the city wall. Although the 8 3-legged fire crows all suffered varying degrees of injuries, they finally saved their lives. Ye Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief, feeling both the joy of surviving the disaster and the joy of defeating a powerful enemy. He knew that this victory not only saved his life, but also made great contributions to the Ohara Cultivation Alliance. You must know that he killed 4 monster beasts in the middle stage of Zifu at the early stage of Zifu. However, Ye Changsheng was not immersed in the joy of victory. He understood that this encounter was just the beginning. The offensive of the monster army is becoming more and more fierce. and there will be more difficult battles waiting for him in the future. Ye Changsheng put away his magic weapon and began to clean up the battlefield. He carefully collected the corpses and materials of monster beasts, which were precious cultivation resources. At the same time, he is also thinking about how to further improve his strength to cope with more severe challenges in the future. At this moment, there was a commotion in the distance. Ye Changsheng looked up and saw more monsters approaching the city wall. He took a deep breath, summoned the magic weapon again, and prepared for the next round of battle. This time, Ye Changsheng faced off against 4 big demons from the middle stage of the purple mansion, but they seemed to be frightened by Ye Changsheng's previous performance. They just kept making feints in front of Ye Changsheng. Once Ye Changsheng used the wind wings to approach, they immediately gathered together to prevent one of them from being surprised by Ye Changsheng. The battle continued into the evening, and the demon clan began to withdraw its troops. Just like that, Ye Changsheng walked down from the city wall, sweating profusely. The next day, as usual, Ye Changsheng meditated to restore his cultivation. Early on the third morning, when Ye Changsheng was sorting out the magic weapons, he suddenly received a message paper talisman from Songtation. He opened the paper charm and found Songtation asking for a visit. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment, then opened the formation and let Songtation in. Brother Ye, this is the 500,000 spiritual stones you lent me before. I'm here to return it to you today, Songtation said. Ye Changsheng didn't say anything and took it directly. Songtation continued to say enthusiastically, Brother Ye, your performance the day before yesterday was really amazing. With the cultivation level of the early Zifu, you killed 4 big monsters in the middle stage of the Zifu with lightning. This kind of achievement is simply unheard of. Ye Changsheng waved his hands in embarrassment. Brother Song, thank you for your praise. I just rely on my magic weapon to be sharper. Songtation was reluctant. Brother Ye, don't be too humble. Do you know that you are very famous in the Golden Light Fortress now? Everyone calls you one of the 5 heroes of the Purple Mansion. They say that you will definitely be in the future. If you can advance to the Taoist court, you may even reach the Yashu realm. Hearing this, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but be a little surprised. He didn't expect his fame to spread so widely. He quickly said, Brother Song, I can't bear the title of the 5 heroes of the Purple Mansion. Songtation smiled and patted Ye Changsheng on the shoulder. Brother Ye, please stop being so low-key. Being high profile also has its advantages. For example, I'm here today on behalf of the 6 people before me. Ye Changsheng looked at Songtation in confusion. Oh, what does this mean? Songtation explained. It's like this. Huo is a thin-skinned guy, so this time it's my turn to speak. The 6 of us have discussed it and are willing to jointly nominate you as our leader. We can even set up an organization and let you lead it. After listening to it, Ye Changsheng fell into deep thought. He carefully considered the pros and cons of this proposal. On the one hand, he did have a record of success and his reputation could no longer be covered up. On the other hand, taking advantage of this heat, expanding the strength, and setting up an organization seems to be a good idea. After careful consideration, Ye Changsheng finally made a decision. He looked up at Songtation and said solemnly, okay, I agree. Songtation was immediately elated. When he heard this, he immediately took out a communication talisman and summoned the other 5 people to come. Soon, Shense, Huo Lai, Utixin, Zhang Suxin and Bei Shuang arrived at Ye Changsheng's residence one after another. After they entered the room, they all looked at Ye Changsheng with admiration, their expressions full of expectation and excitement. Ye Changsheng looked around at everyone, cleared his throat, and said, everyone, thank you for your trust. After careful consideration, I decided to accept your proposal and set up an organization. Hearing this news, everyone's face showed joy. Ye Changsheng continued, let's call our organization U0027 Jingguang U0027, which means that we should shine like golden light. I will serve as the leader of the organization and lead everyone to move forward together. Chapter 222 Eclipse Moongrass. The main purpose of the Golden Light Society is to protect ourselves. We all know that on the front line of this dangerous monster war, we may encounter danger at any time. Within the organization, we can fully share intelligence, unite as one, and jointly respond to external threats. Ye Changsheng's words were sonorous and powerful, and everyone nodded after hearing them. As the leader of the dragon, I will also give you some treasures to reward everyone. However, the organization's affairs must be kept strictly confidential. I hope everyone can swear an oath never to leak any information about the organization. Everyone agreed and immediately swore an oath of confidentiality. Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction, and then took out 6 exquisite jade boxes. He distributed the jade boxes to the 6 people, present one by one, and said, "This is the meeting gift I prepared for everyone." Each jade box contains 6 spiritual palace fruits and 2 spiritual healing pills. Everyone opened the jade box and were stunned when they saw the treasure inside. Ye Changsheng explained, Lingang fruit is a spiritual fruit that can effectively increase cultivation. It has a significant effect on monks in the early and middle stages of Zifu. As for the Ling pill, we have exchanged it before, so everyone should be familiar with it. Everyone expressed their gratitude one after another and lamented that Ye Changsheng was too generous. They secretly calculated that the value of these treasures here was at least 5 to 6 million spiritual stones. Huo Lai said excitedly, "Brother Ye, no, Lord Lang Shao, you are so generous. We will definitely serve the Golden Light Society wholeheartedly." Others also echoed and expressed their gratitude to Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng smiled and waved his hand and said, "You don't have to be polite. The organization is not just to provide benefits to everyone. We still have many things to do." Everyone immediately straightened up and asked in unison, "Please give me the dragon head's orders." Ye Changsheng pondered for a moment and said, "Currently, I need everyone's help to collect some things. The first is the 3rd level fire attribute demon elixir, and the second is the rare 3rd level and 4th level elixirs and spiritual fruit seeds. I can buy these things at a premium." Everyone's eyes lit up after hearing this. They know that, although these things are precious, they are not completely unobtainable for them. Moreover, Ye Changsheng promised to acquire it at a premium, which was undoubtedly a rare opportunity. Ye Changsheng continued, "In addition, if you collect a sufficient amount of materials for me, you can get the Yuchen pill. I believe everyone is familiar with this kind of pill that can help the Zifu break through from the early stage to the middle stage of the Zifu." As soon as this statement came out, everyone became even more excited. Ye Chundan is a treasure that many Zifu monks dream of. If they can get it, they can not only use it for themselves, but also get huge benefits. Shen Se said excitedly, "Don't worry, Dragonhead, we will do our best to collect these things." Others also agreed, with looks of anticipation on their faces. Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction and said, "Very good, so be it. We will keep in touch frequently in the future and work together for the development of the Golden Light Society. Remember, unity is strength. We must help each other and make progress together." "Yes," everyone responded in unison, with firm expressions on their faces. In this way, the Golden Light Society was officially established. Ye Changsheng looked at the group of motivated partners in front of him, and his heart was full of expectations. He knows that with this organization, he will be more confident in this dangerous world and more likely to achieve his goals. Early the next morning, Ye Changsheng got up and headed to King Lionhang's cave. He felt a little uneasy, wondering how King Lionhang would react to what happened yesterday. However, when he came to the door of the cave, he found a retreat sign hanging on the door. Ye Changsheng stood at the door and hesitated for a while, and finally decided not to disturb. He sighed softly, turned and left. "It seems we can only come back another day," Ye Changsheng said to himself, walking on the street with some disappointment. At this moment, a familiar voice came. "Fellow Daoist Ye Changsheng looked up and saw that it was Shen Yufeng. She wore a lavender dress and walked towards him with a smile. "Friend Daoist Shen, what a coincidence." Ye Changsheng smiled and greeted. A hint of surprise flashed in Shen Yufeng's eyes and she said, "What a coincidence. I just went to your cave to look for you and found that you were not at home. I didn't expect to meet you here." Ye Changsheng was a little surprised and asked, "Oh, does fellow Daoist Shen have anything to do with me?" Shen Yufeng nodded and said, "That's right. Today I plan to go deep into the mountains not far outside the Golden Light Fortress to look for a spiritual medicine called moon eclipse grass. This is the main ingredient for refining Ye Changsheng. It is very helpful for our early monks in Zifu to break through to the middle stage. I would like to invite fellow Taoists to go together. If there is anything gained, we will share it equally. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but feel a little moved after hearing this. He thought for a moment and felt that he really had nothing important to do today, and it was a pleasure to be with a beauty like Shen Yufeng. Okay, let's go together. Ye Changsheng readily agreed. When Shen Yufeng heard this, a bright smile appeared on her face. Great. Let's go to the command center to apply for an exit token now. The came to the command center of the Golden Light Fortress and showed their respective identity jade tags. After careful inspection, the monk in charge of the review quickly completed the procedures for them to leave the city. Remember, the token for leaving the city this time is valid for 3 days. If you don't return within 3 days, we will send people to search. The monk warned. Ye Changsheng and Shen Yufeng nodded to show that they understood, and then left the command center. After they were ready, Ye Changsheng and Shen Yufeng walked towards the city gate. On the way, Shen Yufeng gave Ye Changsheng a detailed introduction to the destination of this trip and the possible situations they might encounter. Although the mountain range is not far from the fortress, because of the complex terrain and the large number of monsters, most cultivators are unwilling to take risks there. Shen Yufeng explained. However, because of this, the spiritual medicine resources there are also relatively rich. Ye Changsheng nodded thoughtfully. It does sound like a place where dangers and opportunities coexist. But with masters like fellow Daoist Shen, I'm not too worried. Shen Yufeng blushed slightly when he said this. Fellow Daoist Ye, you are too kind. My cultivation is far inferior to yours, and I hope to get your care this time. While the two were talking and laughing, they had already arrived at the city gate. After the guard checked their tokens to leave the city, they let them go. Ye Changsheng and Shen Yufeng drove the flying boat and flew in the air for a whole day. On the way, the two talked and laughed and exchanged their cultivation experiences from time to time, and the atmosphere was harmonious. When the sun set, they finally arrived at their destination. A lush mountain range. This is it. Shen Yufeng pointed to a deep valley below and said, Eclipse moon grass likes shade and usually grows in such dark and humid places. Chapter 223 Two-Headed Snake. Ye Changsheng nodded and slowly landed on the flying boat. After the two landed, they carefully explored the depths of the valley. The surrounding trees are tall and leafy, blocking the sky and the sun, making the valley dim. Watch your step. Ye Changsheng reminded. The terrain here is complex, and it is easy to miss the mark. Shen Yufeng glanced at him gratefully and observed the surrounding environment more carefully. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. She pointed to a stone wall in front of her and said, Look, there are traces of moon eclipse grass there. Ye Changsheng looked in the direction she pointed, and sure enough he saw several herbs glowing with faint moonlight on the stone wall. However, at this moment, his consciousness caught something abnormal, etc. Ye Changsheng stopped Shen Yufeng, who was about to step forward. There is danger. As soon as he finished speaking, two huge jade spiders suddenly sprang out from the darkness and rushed towards them with their teeth and claws. These two monster beasts were huge, each about the size of a buffalo. Their great green eyes flashed fiercely, and their mouth pits kept opening and closing, making a creepy click sound. The Jasper spider from the middle stage of the purple mansion. Shen Yufeng exclaimed. They are the guardian beasts here. Ye Changsheng looked solemn and quickly offered 3 magic weapons. He saw a long sword emitting 12 mysterious lights appearing in his hand, a simple shield floating in front of him, and a pair of wings shining with silver light spread out behind him. Zuanshan shield, wind control wing. Shen Yufeng said in surprise. I didn't expect fellow Daoist G to actually use these two powerful 3rd level ancient treasures. Ye Changsheng did not answer, but focused on the battle in front of him. The two jade spiders sprayed out sticky spider silk at the same time. Ye Changsheng waved the Zuanshan shield and easily blocked the fatal attack. Be careful with their spider silk, it's highly poisonous. He reminded loudly point with the help of Yu Fengai's extreme speed. Ye Changsheng shuttled back and forth between the two jade spiders, and the 12 mysterious light sword continued to cut out the bright sword light point. Although the jasper spider reacted quickly, it still seemed powerless in the face of Ye Changsheng's speed and attacks. Cut. With a sharp shout, Ye Changsheng swung his sword towards one of the jade spider's 12 rays of mysterious light converged into a dazzling light, instantly cutting off the forelegs of the jasper spider, and green blood spurted out. Seeing this, another jasper spider angrily pounced on Ye Changsheng. However, Zuanshan shield emitted a powerful defensive light shield, blocking all the jasper spider's attacks. Now, Ye Changsheng shouted loudly, unfolded his wind wings, and instantly came behind the injured jade spider. The 12 mysterious light sword turned into a golden light and pierced directly into the jade spider's back heart. Hiss. The jade spider let out a shrill scream, and its huge body fell to the ground, never moving again. After dealing with one jasper spider, Ye Changsheng immediately turned around to deal with the other one. He spread his wind controlling wings and instantly reached the top of the jade spider, and the 12 mysterious light sword burst out with bright light. PFFT. The long sword penetrated the jasper spider's head accurately until it reached the hilt point. The jade spider twitched violently several times and finally fell to the ground, motionless no longer. As the two jasper spiders fell, peace returned to the valley. Ye Changsheng put away the 3 magic weapons and turned to look at the stunned Shen Yufeng. Fellow Daoist Yi, you are so awesome, Shen. Yufeng admired sincerely. With these 3 magic weapons in hand, I'm afraid even the monks in the later period of Zifu will have trouble doing anything to you, right? Ye Changsheng waved his hand and said modestly, fellow Daoist Shen, I'm so grateful. This is just relying on the power of the magic weapon, and it is not considered a skill, Shen. Yufeng approached the moon eclipse grass happily, and was about to pick it carefully. Suddenly, 2 huge triangular snake heads suddenly sprang out from behind the stone wall. They opened their huge mouths, revealing their sinister fangs and forked snake letters, and pounced straight at the unsuspecting Shen Yufeng. This turned out to be the two-headed snake in the middle stage of Zifu. She was stunned for a moment, her heart went blank, and she was about to die in Shekao. At the critical moment, Ye Changsheng took action decisively. With a thought in his mind, the 12 mysterious light sword instantly appeared beside him, the sword body flashing with dazzling light. He activated the wind controlling wings, and his speed suddenly increased, turning into a stream of light, blocking in front of Shen Yufeng. At the same time, he sacrificed the ancient treasure Zuanshan shield. The shield rotated in the air, forming a solid light shield to protect the 2 people. The 2 huge snake heads hit the Zuanshan shield's light barrier hard, making a harsh friction sound, but failed to penetrate this powerful layer of defense. The snake head retreated helplessly, obviously realizing that the prey in front of him was not easy to deal with, and began to hover in the air, preparing to launch a more ferocious magic attack. Ye Changsheng's eyes were like a torch, staring at the two-headed snake in front of him. This is a monster in the middle stage of the Zifu, and its strength cannot be underestimated. He knew very well that he had to fight quickly, otherwise once he used powerful magic, the situation would become extremely unfavorable. The two heads of the two-headed snake were raised high, and green poisonous mist began to condense from its mouth. Obviously intending to use the poisonous mist technique. Ye Changsheng's heart trembled, and he knew he would never let them succeed. He suddenly waved the 12 mysterious light sword, and the sword light was like a rainbow, heading towards the two-headed snake. Upon seeing this, the two-headed snake immediately stopped condensing the poisonous mist, and used its flexible body to avoid the sword light. However, Ye Changsheng's swordsmanship was exquisite, and the sword light followed him like a shadow, chasing after him. The two-headed snake was forced to retreat step by step, and finally revealed its flaws. Now, Ye Changsheng shouted in his heart, and the wind-controlling wings suddenly fluttered. The whole person was like an arrow from a bow, and instantly approached the two-headed snake. The 12 mysterious swords in his hand burst out with brilliant light, and the sword light intertwined into an airtight sword net, covering the two heads of the two-headed snake. The two-headed snake felt the fatal threat, and twisted its body frantically, trying to get rid of the restraint of the sword net. However, Ye Changsheng's sword light was like a maggot on the tarsal bone, tightly entangled it, not giving it a chance to breathe. Cut, Ye Changsheng shouted fiercely, and the 12 mysterious swords turned into a dazzling light, and cut it down fiercely. The two heads of the two-headed snake fell in the sword light, and green blood gushed out, dyeing the ground red. The two-headed snake, which lost its head, twitched on the ground for a few times, and finally fell down powerlessly, never moving again. The valley was calm again, with only a breeze blowing gently, taking away the smoke of the battle. Shen Yufeng finally recovered from her shock. She was pale, obviously frightened by the danger just now. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng put away his magic weapon, walked quickly to her side, gently held her wrist, and comforted her softly. Fellow Daoist Shen, don't be afraid, everything is over. Shen Yufeng felt the warmth of Ye Changsheng's palm. Her cheeks flushed slightly, and she struggled a little, but did not pull her hand back. Seeing that she did not refuse, Ye Changsheng was overjoyed, and gently held her jade hand, to give her more comfort. The two rested for a while, and Ye Changsheng suggested, there are monsters rampant here, it is really dangerous, why don't we pick the eclipse moon grass, as soon as possible, and then leave this place. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224 Auction, Part 3. Shen Yufeng nodded, feeling full of gratitude and trust for Ye Changsheng. After the two of them carefully picked the moon eclipse grass, Ye Changsheng said again, how about I take you away in a flying boat, which is safer? Shen Yufeng hesitated for a moment, then thought of the danger just now, and nodded in agreement. Ye Changsheng was overjoyed, and immediately took out the Zing flying boat, pulled Shen Yufeng over, and took her onto the flying boat. The flying boat slowly lifted into the sky, and Ye Changsheng gently pulled Shen Yufeng into his arms. Shen Yufeng was slightly startled, but did not resist, and allowed Ye Changsheng to hold her in his arms. The two of them flew all the way, until they returned to the Golden Light Fortress in the early morning of the next day. Ye Changsheng got up early. After washing himself, he couldn't wait to go to Shen Yufeng's cave. He was secretly looking forward to meeting Shen Yufeng again. Arriving at the door of the cave, Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and gently knocked on the door. Not long after, the door opened, and Shen Yufeng appeared at the door wearing a light blue dress. Seeing Ye Changsheng, she was slightly startled, and then a faint blush appeared on her cheeks. Changsheng, why are you here? Shen Yufeng asked softly, with a hint of surprise in her tone. Ye Changsheng smiled and said, Yufeng, I'm here to see if your fright yesterday is better. When Shen Yufeng heard this, her heart warmed, and she quickly invited Ye Changsheng into the house. The two sat down in the living room, and Shen Yufeng made a cup of tea for Ye Changsheng. Thank you for your concern. I'm fine, Shen Yufeng said softly. If you hadn't saved me yesterday, I would have. Ye Changsheng waved his hand and interrupted her. No need to say thank you. This is what it should be. The two chatted for a while, and Shen Yufeng suddenly remembered something, and her eyes lit up. By the way, I just got 2 invitations to the Golden Light Fortress auction. I wonder if you would be interested in going with them. Ye Changsheng was overjoyed when he heard this. Of course I'm interested. Thank you for the invitation, Shen Yufeng explained. This is the monthly auction of Golden Light Fortress, which usually auctions some 3rd level and 4th level immortal cultivation items. I have been in the middle stage of Zifu for a long time, and this time I want to buy the Jade Deopil in the auction. If I can buy it, I will sell the moon eclipse grass to subsidize my cultivation needs. After hearing this, Ye Changsheng nodded thoughtfully. 2 days later, the auction took place as scheduled. Ye Changsheng and Shen Yufeng came to the auction house of Golden Light Fortress together. The auction house is located in the center of the fortress, and is a majestic building. The towering dome is inlaid with countless luminous pearls, emitting a soft light. The surrounding walls are carved with lifelike patterns of fairy animals. which are magnificent and magnificent. Point in the center of the hall is a huge circular auction table, surrounded by tiers of seats. The entire auction venue can accommodate thousands of people, and is magnificent. Point Ye Changsheng and Shen Yufeng's seats were in the public gallery. Although it was not the best position, they could clearly see the auction stage. Point as time went by, the auction house gradually became packed with people. Point not long after, a middle-aged man in a gorgeous robe walked onto the auction stage and announced in a loud voice that the auction had officially begun. Point the first auction item was quickly brought to the stage by the waiter. Fellow Taoists, the first thing to be auctioned is a third-grade low-grade magic weapon, U-00027 Fire Cloud Fan U-00027. This fan uses fire spirit wood as the bone and red flame animal skin as the surface, and is infused with the essence of the third-grade fire spirit pill. Wave it can breathe out blazing flames, and be both offensive and defensive. The starting price is 250,000 spirit stones, and each increase must not be less than 10,000 spirit stones. As soon as he finished speaking, a monk in the audience raised a sign, 260,000 spiritual stones, 270,000 spirit stones, 280,000 spiritual stones. In the end, the fire cloud fan was sold for 420,000 spirit stones. The second auction item is a bottle of concentration pill. Point the auctioneer introduced. This is a third level low grade elixir. After taking it, it can enhance spiritual consciousness and is of great benefit to the soul. It is especially useful for monks who are about to break through the Zifu stage. The starting price is 70,000 spirit stones, and no increase is allowed each time. Less than 5,000 spiritual stones. The bidding was even more intense this time, and many monks were eager for this elixir. The price soon exceeded 100,000 spirit stones, and was finally sold for 130,000 spirit stones. The third auction item is a defensive weapon, Dark Iron Shield. Point the auctioneer introduced in detail. This shield is made of 1000-year black iron as the main material, supplemented by 5 element of spiritual stones. It was forged by 3 third-level weapon refiners. It can not only resist most third-level spell attacks, but also absorb part of the attack is converted into spiritual power. The starting price is 200,000 spiritual stones, and each increase must not be less than 10,000 spiritual stones. This magical instrument caused an even greater sensation. Point many monks rushed to bid, and the price quickly climbed to 250,000 spiritual stones. At this moment, a young monk in brocade robe suddenly raised his bid to 300,000 spirit stones, instantly suppressing the other bidders. Ye Changsheng watched with great interest and exchanged views with Shen Yufeng from time to time. Point Shen Yufeng secretly glanced at Ye Changsheng from time to time, feeling secretly happy in her heart. Point as the auction progressed, an eye-catching item finally appeared. Point the auctioneer announced loudly, next, what we are going to auction is a third level high grade magic weapon, U-00027 Moonlight Flowing Robe U-00027. This robe is made of moonlight silk as the main material, supplemented by several rare spiritual materials. It was made through the joint efforts of 3 third-level high-grade weapon refining masters. Not only does it have amazing defensive power, it can also enhance the speed of female cultivators' spiritual power circulation, which is of great benefit to cultivation. The starting price is 500,000 spiritual stones, and each bid must not be less than 5,000 spiritual stones. As soon as the voice fell, the entire auction hall was boiling. Point many female cultivators were attracted by the robe, and raised their placards to bid. 550,000 spiritual stones, 600,000 spiritual stones, 650,000 spiritual stones. The price quickly broke through the million mark, but the competition was still fierce. Point Ye Changsheng noticed that Shen Yufeng beside him had a strange light flashing in her eyes, staring at the robe intently. Point he knew in his heart that Shen Yufeng was about to break through to the late stage of the Purple Mansion, and this robe would be a great help to her. 1.5 million spiritual stones. A wealthy middle-aged female cultivator shouted loudly. 1,600,000 spiritual stones. Another female cultivator in gorgeous clothes was not to be outdone. Point at this moment, Ye Changsheng suddenly raised his sign. 2 million spirit stones. The whole audience was in an uproar, and everyone's eyes were focused on Ye Changsheng. Shen Yufeng also looked at him in surprise, feeling both moved and uneasy. The wealthy female cultivator bit the sign and said, 2,100,000 spirit stones. Ye Changsheng was not in a hurry. 2,300,000 spirit stones. The female cultivator in gorgeous clothes was unwilling. 2,500,000 spirit stones. Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, 2,800,000 spirit stones. The auction hall was silent and everyone held their breath. The auctioneer shouted 3 times in a row, and seeing that no one raised the price, he finally made a final decision. Congratulations to this young man. You won U0,027 Yuhaliaguan Peo U0,027 with 2,800,000 spirit stones. Shen Yufeng was so excited that her hands trembled slightly and tears of gratitude flashed in her eyes. Chapter 225 Phoenix Feather. She didn't expect Ye Changsheng to spend such a huge amount of spiritual stones for her. When the waiter handed the robe to Ye Changsheng, Shen Yufeng couldn't wait to reach out her hand, wanting to touch this dream weapon. However, to her surprise, Ye Changsheng just smiled at her and put the robe into the storage bag. The smile on Shen Yufeng's face froze, and a sense of loss and confusion surged in her heart. She lowered her head and tried to hide her emotions, but the disappointment in her eyes could not be hidden. Ye Changsheng noticed Shen Yufeng's reaction, and a sly smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He thought to himself, Yufeng, don't misunderstand. This is a surprise I prepared for you. How can I give it to you so soon? Just as Shen Yufeng was thinking about it, the auction continued. Ye Changsheng seemed to be concentrating on observing the items on the stage, but in fact he would occasionally glance at Shen Yufeng beside him, watching her trying to hide her disappointment, and he couldn't help laughing in his heart. As the auction progressed, a new item was carefully brought to the auction table by the waiter. This was a crystal clear flying sword. The sword body was as transparent as crystal, and there seemed to be starlight flowing inside. A huge sapphire was inlaid on the hilt, emitting a faint blue light. The auctioneer introduced loudly, my fellow Taoists, this is a 3rd grade top grade flying sword named U0,027 Galaxy Sword U0,027, specially made for female cultivators. This sword is made of meteorite iron, supplemented by the essence of 1,000-year-old ice, and forged by 3 3rd grade top grade weapon refining masters. Not only is it extremely sharp, it also contains the power of the stars, which can defend against enemies thousands of miles away. The starting price is 400,000 spirit stones, and each bid must not be less than 10,000 spirit stones. As soon as these words came out, the venue was boiling. Many female cultivators raised their cards and competed to bid 410,000 spirit stones, 450,000 spirit stones, 500,000 spirit stones. The price rose steadily and soon broke through the million mark. Shen Yufeng looked at the beautiful flying sword with desire in her eyes, but she knew she was powerless to compete. At this moment, Ye Changsheng suddenly raised his card, 1.5 million spirit stones. The whole audience was in an uproar, and many cultivators couldn't believe their ears. Shen Yufeng also looked at Ye Changsheng in surprise, feeling both touched and nervous. However, someone was unwilling to give up 1,600,000 spirit stones. Ye Changsheng remained calm. 1,800,000 spirit stones. The other party gritted his teeth and said, 1,900,000 spirit stones. Ye Changsheng smiled calmly. 2 million spirit stones. The auctioneer shouted loudly, 2 million spirit stones once, 2 million spirit stones twice, 2 million spirit stones 3 times. Deal. Congratulations to this young man for winning U0,027 Galaxy Sword U0,027 with 2 million spirit stones. When the waiter handed the flying sword to Ye Changsheng, Shen Yufeng's heartbeat accelerated, expecting Ye Changsheng to hand it to her. However, Ye Changsheng just smiled at her and put the flying sword into the storage bag. Shen Yufeng felt mixed emotions. She hesitated for a moment and asked tentatively, Brother Ye, is this flying sword going to be given to your confidant who is serving in the Golden Light Fortress? Ye Changsheng smiled and nodded. Yes, it is indeed going to be given to someone. Hearing this answer, Shen Yufeng felt even more disappointed. She forced a smile and said, that girl will definitely like it. In the following auction, Shen Yufeng was a little absent-minded. She would sneak a glance at Ye Changsheng from time to time, and her heart was full of doubts and disappointment. Suddenly, a new item caught her attention. It was an elegant flying boat with a light pink luster, as if it was carved from the finest pink crystal. The hull lines of the flying boat were smooth, like a phoenix spreading its wings to fly. A huge ruby was inlaid on the bow, emitting a soft light. Exquisite patterns were carved on the side of the boat, and each flower was lifelike, as if it was about to bloom, and the next moment the stern of the boat was decorated with a few flowing ribbons, which fluttered gently in the wind, giving people a light and agile feeling. The auctioneer introduced, dear Taoist friends, this is a third level high quality flying boat named U0027 Fengai U0027. Specially built for female cultivators. This boat is not only extremely fast, but also has many functions such as concealing breath and resisting attacks. The starting price is 1 million spirit stones, and each bid must not be less than 50,000 spirit stones. Shen Yufeng heard the introduction, and her eyes flashed with a strange light. She wanted to stand up and observe this beautiful flying boat carefully. She subconsciously looked at Ye Changsheng, but found that the other party did not seem to have any intention of making a move. Just when she was disappointed, Ye Changsheng suddenly raised his sign, 1,500,000 spirit stones. Shen Yufeng was happy, but soon other cultivators raised the price, 1,600,000 spirit stones, 1,800,000 spirit stones, 2 million spirit stones. The price soon broke through the 2 million mark, and many cultivators withdrew from the competition. However, there was still a female cultivator who looked quite wealthy and refused to give up. 3 million spiritual stones. The female cultivator shouted loudly. Ye Changsheng remained calm. 3,200,000 spiritual stones. The female cultivator gritted her teeth and said, 3,500,000 spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng smiled calmly, 3,800,000 spiritual stones. The whole audience was silent, and everyone held their breath, waiting for the female cultivator's response. However, the female cultivator finally shook her head and gave up the bid. The auctioneer announced excitedly, 3,800,000 spirit stones once, 3,800,000 spirit stones twice, 3,800,000 spirit stones 3 times. Deal. Congratulations to this young man for winning the U0027 Fengai U0027 flying boat with 3,800,000 spirit stones. When the waiter handed the flying boat storage talisman to Ye Changsheng, Shen Yufeng's heart was hanging again. However, to her disappointment, Ye Changsheng once again put the storage talisman directly into his storage bag. This time, Shen Yufeng could no longer hide her emotions, and the whole person seemed a little lost. She lowered her head, with tears of loss flashing in her eyes, and her heart was full of confusion and bitterness. Ye Changsheng noticed Shen Yufeng's reaction, and sighed in his heart. He knew that his behavior might cause Shen Yufeng to misunderstand, but he had his own plan. He decided to give Shen Yufeng a surprise after the auction. In this way, the auction continued, but Shen Yufeng was always absent-minded. The auction lasted for nearly 3 hours, and finally came to the auction of the Jade Dao pill that Shen Yufeng had been looking forward to for a long time. The next one to be auctioned is a 3rd level top grade pill, Jade Dao pill. This pill is very helpful for the mid-stage purple mansion cultivator to break through the bottleneck. The starting price is 1 million spirit stones, and each bid must not be less than 50,000 spirit stones. The auctioneer's voice sounded. Shen Yufeng's face changed slightly when she heard the price. She whispered to Ye Changsheng, I didn't expect the price to be so high. I'm afraid I can't afford it. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.